Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 31st of January 2019. This is The Gap, episode 453. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is back from Japan. How you going, Joab?
Pretty good. Bit tired, but I'm okay.
Did you get back yesterday morning?
Yeah. Yesterday morning, I had to stay awake all day. I was on a plane full of fucking kids. It was like fucking some sort of, I don't know, kindergarten trip to Japan or some fucking shit, because there were fucking...
It was all of them.
It was literally just fucking kids everywhere, like from 1 to fucking 5, and all of them wouldn't shut the fuck up. And meanwhile, there's me, like, crammed into a seat, 100% full flight. Me and like only other fucking wide set dude on the entire plane are sat next to each other. I'm on the aisle, he's in the fucking middle. At least he didn't get up all flight, which is amazing. I guess it's only like what, 8 hours, 9 hours to Japan or back from Japan.
It's not too bad.
But yeah, he didn't fucking move all flight. He just sort of sat there, and he had this really puffy jacket on as well. So I basically, from the start of this flight, I just had my we were just touching. Just had to, like, there was nothing else we could do. Like, if I'm gonna sit like a normal human being on this fucking plane, we're gonna have to touch. And at least, like, he was a cool dude. We worked it out. He went front. You know, you do the, like, you can't both share one of those narrow ass armrests, right? Because my arm is wider than the armrest itself. My forearm is wider than it. But if you sort of like twist your arm in like a chicken wing, right, you can have the back end. I have the back end, and he just has to put his arm forward a bit, and then he can have the front half, right? That's how you share a fucking armrest. And we both sort of, you know, unspoken agreement just sort of slotted into that situation. So that was okay. But I didn't sleep anyway because the lady behind me, I think she was kicking my chair. I don't know. I gave her a look, right? It turns out I don't have an intimidating look. I think it's because of the look choice. I didn't go with like, you know, glare. I went with like a, why the fuck are you doing this sort of look. And she just sort of looked at me and like nodded, and then that was it, right? Like
yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, let's enjoy that for the next fucking 8 hours, cunt. So I did enjoy that. I did not enjoy any sleep, and so I'd stay awake all day. I was a fucking vegetable. I didn't do shit. I also didn't do much on the flight itself, because I was trying to go to sleep. So I probably picked up like a couple of moments of sleep. I watched Widows on the plane.
Yep.
Good movie. I liked it, but I had to rewind it about 6 times from having like micro sleeps, and the scene would change. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. Yeah, I don't know how we got here, so I guess we'll have to go back again. Yeah. So yeah, that was shit. It didn't help that I didn't go to bed before. I think the latest I went to bed was 4 o'clock in the morning while I was in Japan. So yeah, that didn't help. So I was pretty tired, and I had to get up early, like 2 of the days, so I could, 1, go to Mario Karting, and 2, go to the event that I was at. But yeah. Good trip though, awesome trip. Like,
right.
Japan's awesome. It was cold. Not last time I went. It was hot as fuck.
Yeah.
It was like 38 degrees or whatever the fuck. That was too hot for me. It's too hot for anyone. I think it's 38 degrees right now in Sydney, but
it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's too hot. This time it was, I think. Well, there was a blizzard while we were landing. It was the hairiest fucking landing while we're coming into Japan. It was like proper scary, like 0G moments. Like, you know, you just sort of float in the air because the plane like shunts downwards, and you're like, oh fuck. Especially like, you know that you're on approach for landing. And we've all seen, like, we don't like to admit it, but we've all seen Die Hard 2. And you're like, oh, they'll be going off instruments if I learn anything from Die Hard 2. They'll be going off instruments. They won't know their exact altitude because they won't
see the ground.
They can't see it. So I don't know what's going on. Oh, fuck, we're going to... We're fine. So yeah, but it was snowing. That was fucking so many people just stood in the middle of the fucking walkway on the way out to take photos of the snow. And it's like, just fucking move, dickheads. Like, can't you wait till you get to a part where there's space to fucking, like, move around so people can get around you? As it is, I'm like fucking shoving past pricks. I just fucking, come on, swimming my way through. Then, caught the train. I landed at, there's two airports in Japan. There's Narita and Haneda. Haneda is like 30 minutes out of the city, and Narita is an hour and 15 minutes out of the city. But there is a train that you can catch. So I'm from Narita. So I landed in Narita, but I left from Haneda. Landing in Narita, I got in at like 5. I didn't get to the hotel until like 8. Just because there was like getting to the train, and then I like accidentally, I took too long and missed the immediate train. The next one wasn't for half an hour, so I had to wait that. And then an hour on the train, and then I got lost in Shinjuku. We were staying in Shinjuku, and I got lost in Shinjuku Station. So that wasn't very helpful. But yeah, got there, checked in, immediately went out to dinner. Ate chicken hearts, ate all kinds of stuff with skewers. Wasn't about it. I like chicken hearts enough, but they're too chewy for them to be like something I really want to eat all the time. I don't want a full fucking skewer of 4 of the fucking things. Like 1 or 2, I'm good. What was the other thing? Chicken cartilage? No, thank you. We had the most insane conversation about what the fuck cartilage is. It turns out people don't. Do you know what cartilage is, Luke?
It's like the bony bits.
Bony bits, the joint.
Yeah.
The part between like your elbow, right? The stuff that makes it so that your bones don't scrape on like one another. Yeah. So anyway.
That's what I said. Bony bits.
Of course, you were so close. No, but so many people did not understand this. They were like, "What's the cartilage?" Oh, so your knee bone, and you're like, "No, you're not. Your fucking knee bone. You fucking parts between it." Anyway,
like your nose, right? And isn't your nose and your ear?
I do believe your nose is cartilage. Yes, like the squiggly bit of your nose.
Yeah, and then ears.
Yeah. Like, not bones, not skin, not muscle, rigid stuff. Not tasty. I don't like to eat it. Yeah. Anyway, that was on the skewers as well. So we just, I don't know, it's good enough. Then we went out to Golden Guy, hit up a couple of bars, found a good one. It was Motorhead themed, but
like the band?
Yeah, like the band. Yeah. It was good. Just, sat there the whole time, surrounded by Japanese people, all of them talking Japanese, and then they would say things and laugh while looking at me, and then I would sort of stare at them and be like, "What's funny?" And a couple of times I distinctly heard the word gaijin, so I knew they were talking about me, but never worked out why. Good times. Stayed out till I think I got home that day at 5 in the morning. I know I did because I sent my wife a message saying, "Going to bed now, good night." And I looked at the timestamp later, and then I had to get up at 8 o'clock so I could get to the middle of fucking I was going Mari Karting, it's called, not Mario Karting. It is not in any way affiliated with Nintendo, and they stress this a lot because apparently they got sued. So it was an hour on the train to get out to this Mario car thing. So I had to get up at 8 so I could get to my 10 o'clock start, because if you're late, they leave without you and you just miss out. So I had to make sure I was there on time. Also had to navigate Japan's trains. They're not that hard. You just have to know which ones to get on. Like they have they make it so easy with the letters and the numbers. So if you know that you need to go on the Marinucci line to stop 24, you just find M24. And once you're at M24, that's it, right? Easy peasy. You don't need to read Japanese. You don't need to understand Japanese. Once you've got those 2 bits down, fucking easy peasy. But, yeah, finding the Marinucci line in general can be a bit difficult when there's like... in Shinjuku itself, there's like fucking 16 different fucking train lines going out of the one place, and they've all got different names and stuff. You're like, okay, this is tough. This is tougher than
at least everything's in English.
Yeah, at least there's definitely a lot of English there. Meanwhile, in Australia, we're just like, whatever, English only, baby. You'll work it out, motherfuckers. But yeah, went out there, got a cheeky breakfast, some Picari sweat to replenish my electrolytes. Oh, I forgot to mention, I got home by cab. I caught a cab back home. If I didn't, I would have been like that fucking little matchstick girl, like dying on the outskirts of wherever the fuck, like just dead, straight up dead, frozen to death. Because I got lost about 90% of the way through this trip home, and I was looking on Google Maps, and it said, you know how like it tells you the way you're facing on Google Maps. It said I was going in one direction, but I could see that it was tracking me moving in the other, like I was fucking moonwalking my way through the streets of fucking Shinjuku. So I'm like, I got no idea where the fuck I am, to be honest. I thought I was heading towards the hotel. Anyway, I hopped in a cab, and he drove me back. And then he drops me off. He's like, "No charge, stay safe." And I'm like, "What? No way, get out of here." And he's like, No charge, stay safe." And I'm like, "That's crazy." So I gave him a 1,000 yen note, which might have been overpaying, but I was just... Well, I was drunk. I was probably still drunk by the time I got to Mario Kart, to be honest. Because there's no way that the alcohol left my system in the 4 hours between me going, 5 hours between me going to bed and me getting, into a go-kart. Like, it just doesn't... I have a pretty decent alcohol metabolism, but it's not that good. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Mario Karting, not drunk, just, I'm sure I still had alcohol in my system, which I believe is a no-go if you're on an international driver's permit. But I didn't get breathalyzed. I'm 100%, yeah, 100% against drink driving. I did not, I wasn't drunk. Anyway, when Mario Karting, it was weird. It was an odd experience because I sort of expected it to be a tour, and then once the go-karts started up and they sounded exactly like go-karts, I'm like, fuck, is this going to be a tour? Like,
yeah, no,
how am I going to learn anything? They didn't give us fucking headsets so we'd all be able to hear the tour guide. I'm like, okay, this is not a tour like I expect. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was basically just an opportunity to drive around the streets of Tokyo, waving at people. I waved at so many people.
Sorry, Mario Car.
Yeah, Mario Car.
Did they dress you up, or do they don't do that anymore?
They've got a bunch of costumes. There is no Nintendo-related costumes.
There used to be, right?
Yeah. They got the shit suit out of them. Yeah, apparently the whole thing's going to go away, like, at some point. The government of Tokyo hates it. I can understand why. You feel like you're an inconvenience, but more than that, you feel invisible. Like, imagine, you know how people can't see fucking bikes? Like, forget not being able to see a fucking bike. Imagine if a bike had the fucking profile of fucking something that comes up to your fucking knees. Like, imagine if it was like a fucking skateboard. People were lying down on a fucking skateboard. That's your basic profile. A bus. I was like the tail end of our group because there was a group of 4, and there was me, and I was sort of stuck on the end of this group. Not that it mattered; they were all cool people. But yeah, I was just sort of like the odd one out. So they stuck me at the back, and had so I went the tour leader, and then 2 people, and 2 people, and me. And yeah, bus 100% tried to merge into me at one point. Like just merged straight through me. It was the hairiest fucking shit. I had to like.
But you went under it, right? You went under the
Oh
bus.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Just I popped a fucking drift so I could drift through under like below the wheelbase. It was tight. No, yeah. I gunned it, managed to outpace this bus and go onto like technically the shoulder of the fucking road so that I would not get fucking killed by a bus in Japan. I was waving at a lot of people and I lost my wedding ring.
Right.
Because it flung off my hand, which was not ideal. Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't good. I would have stopped, except I flung it. I was like wave, 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 and then on that wave it flung off my finger into like oncoming traffic. So I not only would I have had to stop on a dangerous street, I also would have had to go into oncoming traffic, and that would have been not good. So yeah, I didn't do that. I just let it go. It was pretty like I don't know. It was a weird ring anyway. I wasn't about it that much. It was just a thing. I'll get a new one. Yeah. So there was that. Yeah, drove around from the fish market, went on the Rainbow Bridge, I believe it's called. Got up to some decent speeds there. Got fast. Because I was at the back. A lot of the time I was sort of restricted as to how fast I was going, based on the person in front of me, because I didn't want to overtake them because I knew that they weren't paying that much attention to what was behind them, and also didn't want to ram into the back of them. So yeah, I was tending to go as fast as they were, and they were a bit of a hesitant driver, it seemed. But when I knew, so we went on the Rainbow Bridge twice, and the first time we went down it, I got going pretty quick, like 65-ish, but I couldn't go any faster without just annihilating the person in front of me, so I sort of backed off. When we were going over it again, and I knew we were hitting the downhill bit, I backed all the way off from the person in front and the group like sort of tore out ahead, and I just sort of slowed getting up the hill. It had a lot of trouble. Like the go-karts had some pretty hefty trouble getting up hills as it was. They didn't have a lot of fucking grunt in that sense. But as soon as I got to the crest of the hill, I powered it, and I got up fast enough that I had like speed wobbles, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm gonna slow down, I think. So yeah, I backed off again. But I looked at I had a GoPro. GoPro did. It wasn't on my head though. It was sort of tucked into my shirt. So for a lot, like I'd say about 30% of my footage is of the inside of my shirt. Because it had slipped down and I would be driving and not fiddling with it. I'd only fiddle with it when we got to like a red light, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as like I started the speed walls, I dropped it, and like I don't know if you can see the speed wobbles. It doesn't look like you can very much, but it was scary enough. I think 75, 80-ish. Probably 75. But yeah, it was good. That was good. It was fun. It was cold as fuck. It was a sunny day, and that meant that it was a blistering 5 degrees Celsius. And doing fucking generally about 50 kilometers an hour in an open air cart meant that it felt like it was about -5 or something. Like, it was just fucking cold. So, yeah, I think you'd want to, like, if I could do it again, I would wear more warm weather shit than what I did. Maybe a balaclava. A dude was doing, like, on a night session. It was, like, supposed to be -1 that night. There's no fucking way. There is no fucking way. You would freeze your fucking eyes out. You'd want goggles. Like, you'd legit want goggles to stop. Oh man, yeah, fuck that. So that was that. Went out to dinner. Went to a place called Hibiki, which was named for the whiskey, and I drank a shit ton of whiskey. Ate some weird foods. It was like a set menu, and we had no idea what was on it. One of the ladies with us is allergic to fish, shellfish. She was like fucking right about to eat a piece of crab sushi, and I've like popped it in my mouth. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's crab, eh? And she's like, do you reckon? They said there wasn't going to be any shellfish, so it's probably just like tuna or something. I'm like, I don't like. I'm not a fish expert, but that didn't taste like fish. And she asked someone, and it was crab. She would have fucking died. She didn't have an EpiPen on her. Like, yeah, that would have been that would have been pretty hairy. Anyway, so that was good. Went out afterwards, got some drinks. And then the next day we had the events, the game that I can't really talk about.
What?
Yep.
You can't talk about it. That is insane.
We'll talk about it next week. I can talk about some of it, but I can't talk about a lot of it. So we'll talk about that a bit later. But then the next day was... Yeah, the next day we were supposed to fly out at 10. In the morning, we went to Team Lab Borderless, which
is that?
It's an art installation, like a digital art installation. Ironically, I didn't know it at the time while I was Mario Karting, but it was like fucking 10 minutes down the road from Mario Kart. Like, it was super fucking close to it. So, yeah, I went to... Like, I was just blown away. It was so close to where I'd been already, and I could have just gone, but I didn't. Anyway, absolutely fascinating. Like, probably the top experience I had in Japan. You go into this massive warehouse. There's heaps of people. You sort of walk in. They tell you, you know, there's a bunch of different rooms. Some of them are hidden. You have to go find them, and then they let you in, and you walk down this like pitch black fucking hallway with just a couple of lights that serve to guide you where you're supposed to go. And you wander in, and then you go through these like pitch black curtains, open them up, and like the room is covered in like flowers,
right?
But they're being projected onto the walls, basically. And there's basically every different room has a different projection, or not projection necessarily, but different light-based like installments to it. So yeah, there was the flowers, and the flowers were fucking everywhere. Right off the one secret room I found had like this calligraphy that sort of moved. It was like pitch black inside this room, and there were like a bunch of monitors on the wall, and the calligraphy was sort of painted across like the canvas of these 6 monitors, and it would sort of scroll through and more calligraphy would get painted in. But because of the way the lighting in the room, all you could see was this digital canvas, I guess. The monitors acted as this canvas, and so you got a broader picture by like looking from left to right. It was like extremely... That was actually a pretty unsettling room because of the way you sort of absorbed all of the information of the pictures itself. I walked back out of there, and I'd been separated from the group. Like, we'd been in there for like 4 seconds as a group, We were all we stuck together through the pitch black hallway. We managed to stay together there, and then 4 seconds afterwards, gone forever. I didn't see him again until we left. But yeah, then there was like a athletics forest that seemed a bit like a playground type deal. Like, yeah, just a bunch of like different leveled, I don't know, things like ramps and man-made hills and stuff like that. But projected onto all of them were like these forest animals and stuff like that. You could go into one room where you draw a fish and you could scan the fish, or you could give it to someone and they were like a staff member and they'd scan it in. You could not draw a penis fish. They wouldn't scan it in. I mean, you could draw a penis fish, but they wouldn't scan it in. But once it was scanned in, it would join like the aquarium of fish on the walls and stuff, and so you could have your add your bit to the sea of fish that go into the place. And what else? There was a slide, and when you slid down it, there was like a trail, like it left a trail behind you, and the trail sort of rippled out and collided with other trails. When I was up there were these like two children, these tiny children, and they were like fighting at the top of it, and their parents were clearly down the bottom. I'll be clear.
You sorted it out.
Fucking crunch, bitch. They were like 3 and 4, like they were super young. The slide was a children's attraction. Like I had to like duck to get my head through the little thing. Like through the slide portal, I guess. But 4 people could slide at once, and yeah, I'm like squeezing my way through, and they're like fighting up the top, and their parents are yelling at them in Japanese, and then one of them comes over and like shoves me to try and shove me off the side, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he thought it was the funniest shit he'd ever fucking seen in his life, and so did his brother. And then they both like fucking ran off the slide. They didn't like sit down. They literally just fucking sprinted off this slide, and then like one fucking face planted all the way down. It was pretty amusing. And then I slid down, and it didn't even remotely compare to like how amusing these children were. Anyway, yeah, that whole area was sort of a kids area. It was fine. It was cool. There was some interesting things. There were these giant balloons, and you could walk through them and like push your way through, and it was sort of weird because they collapse back in on you real quick, and so if you were following someone through, they would collapse in on you and sort of hit you a bit. They were all lit up. I didn't really get much out of that. I don't know. It was pretty. It seemed like one of those, you know, a lot of people taking photos of them holding up this giant ball, but the ball's suspended from the ceiling, and you can't really see it because of the way it's lit. So it's sort of like when you walk in there, it sort of looks like it's just hovering, this giant teardrop shaped ball. Yeah, it sort of looks like it's hovering, so I guess I get the fucking lifting up thing, but I don't really go for it. And then I walked out of there, got completely lost trying to find a bathroom. Wound up stumbling across a tea room. This tea room is fucking amazing. You bought a tea for 500 yen, which is an expensive fucking tea, I'll tell you what. And they serve it to you in a bowl. And basically wherever the bowl is, these flowers, like a projection of these flowers, sort of grows out of the space until they take over the entire bowl, and then they grow on top, and they sort of like the flowers build and build as like the bowl sits there. But as soon as you move the bowl away, the flowers explode and the petals go everywhere, and they fly up the wall and across the table and fucking all over the place. The neat thing was wherever you moved the table to, new flowers would spring. So you could have it here and then move it to the right, and the flowers would explode here and then shift over, like, and the plant would already be growing over there. So it basically made you, like, every time you took a drink, you were sort of destroying the flowers that you'd built in that time. It was pretty fucking zen. So I like that a lot. Then I went back downstairs, continued to try and find some shit. There was a giant line for some lanterns, and I didn't go in. It was too big a line, so I skipped that. Found a place like this area where there was these lily pads, and if you stood in one place in these lily pads, it seemed like I'm not like going to be 100% on point on everything that happened. This is just my interpretation of a lot of this because it's art, yo. But it seemed like if you stood in one place among these lily pads, the projected elements of the area would sort of treat you like something that they could fly onto or like interact with. And as soon as you moved, everything would sort of flitter away from you. And so you would stand there watching things for a while, and you'd notice, like over time, that things got a lot closer to you, and then suddenly, when you took a step, everything fucking spacked out and left. That was pretty cool. That was all projected as well, like from the roof. There was this knob end using the flash on his on his camera to take photos, and like, dude, it's a projection. All you're gonna have is a fucking bunch of like bright white lily pad photos, you fucking moron. Like the light, your light is overtaking any light that they've got. You fucking tool. The really cool part about that place was that you could walk out, and there was because there were mirrors on all the walls. There were some false mirrors on some of the walls, and so you could actually watch people looking at the lily pads and stuff, interacting with shit.
Watch people.
Yeah. There was one other room that I really liked, and it was the fiber optic forest, and I must have spent fucking forever in here. It was like this was like some fucking mind-blowing shit to me. It was basically a bunch of those light strips, you know, those LED light strips.
Yeah.
I've got one in my bedroom so I can light my fucking bedroom up. Basically, like, if you don't know what these are, like, look up Philips Hue light strip or one of those Xiaomi light strip. But basically, it's a thin strip with a bunch of LED lights on it, and you can control it using usually your smartphone, but there's a bunch of different controllers that you can use as well. And you can get it to, like, basically light up in any color, because LEDs are generally able to light in the full range of colors, the full color wheel. And so there were like thousands of these light strips suspended from a really tall ceiling. And there was a clear path that you could walk through in this light strip forest, this fiber optic forest. And basically, yeah, as you walk through it, the lights would change colors and flitter and flick and stuff, and yeah, you'd be treated to a light show of sorts. And the really interesting part was that the further you got through it, the more you sort of noticed. As I was going through it, I spent ages in here, and I noticed at first that it was sort of, great colors, really pretty. There's a mirrored floor, and so you could see you get a slightly different perspective by looking down as opposed to up. So that was cool. And then I noticed that occasionally I could see like a pattern in the way that the colors were moving, and you could almost make out like a shape or something like that. And then there was this rain effect where all of the lights sort of came down like that, and it made me want to fucking vomit, because I looked at the mirror on the floor and it looked like they were coming up to me, and it was like I was like suspended or something. I couldn't fucking work it out. My brain just felt like it wasn't anywhere anymore. Like, it was very confusing. There was another really cool effect which felt like you were in full blown in lights, like going into warp speed or some shit, like full blown that effect from Star Trek type thing, which is cool. But the really cool part was, the further I got in, the more I noticed there were these patterns, And I sort of slowly, the rain came on again, and I noticed that there were flashes of light that sort of simulated like lightning and stuff like that. But I got to the end of this fucking room, and I was looking at as much of the forest as I could to try and get it like in a broader sense. And then I noticed like there was this big space, but if you looked away from the light forest, the mirrors on the wall let you see the actual, like, it was making shapes, it was making like actual pictures and stuff out of the lights. But you could only see it if you looked away from the fucking like light forest itself. You couldn't see it by looking at it because your perspective was too close. All you could see was the individual lights and the strips and stuff like that. Like, you couldn't make out the patterns, the full patterns. You got hints of patterns, but yeah, you could only see it by looking away, and it felt fucking very profound. So that was cool. And then I left. The rest of the group that I was with went to Disney Sea, but I had been there a few months ago, and I didn't want to go again. Also, I hadn't packed any of my shit, so I had to check out of the hotel at some point. So unless they dump all my shit on the fucking sidewalk. So I had to go back. I was walking back towards the train station, and I noticed there was like this massive, like, I don't know what the fuck it was. I think it was a Toyota dealership or something. I don't fucking know. Weird though. It was like sort of connecting the Team Lab installation with like this massive outlet store. And I was walking through it, and they had this giant like Paralympics exhibition where I sat down and played some wheelchair basketball with a Japanese dude. I was not very good. It was really hard. Like, I'm not good at the best of times at basketball, right? I freely admit that. But I found it like I was fucking airballing a fuck ton. I had not even thought how much like force you generate out of your shots out of the bottom half of your fucking body. But once you haven't got that, it is fucking hard. Like, it's hard. It's hard to actually get the fucking ball up there. Once I got my head around that, like, you sort of adopt your, like, you can do it. It's not what you consider a good shooting form. Yeah. Once I got my head around that, I sunk like 2 banking shots. It was the best I could do. I could get to the side of the room and then bank it in from there. I could not go front on and reliably get it up over the rim to drop in because I just hit the fucking rim constantly. It was just weird, man. Like, I hadn't even fucking thought about it. But then the dude was like, "Oh, dribble." Fuck it. That was me. I was done. I couldn't fucking dribble for the life of me. I couldn't dribble and move at the same time. It's fine. I can bounce the ball while sitting, but then I'm gonna fucking move, and like, you're gonna do it with one hand, and no, not happening. Couldn't do it. Gave up. There was a hockey thing, but nobody was playing it, and it seemed like there wasn't any staff like member to look after it, so I didn't try that out. I looked at the picture. There were no signs in English for any of this shit. There was just pictures, and I worked shit out from there. But yeah, I looked at the picture, and it seemed like you were like just taking passes. I don't know how that related to the Paralympics, to be honest. I don't know how ice hockey works at the Paralympics, to be honest. I've never seen it, but it seems like it'd be extra dangerous, to be honest. I'm saying to be honest too much. Then the third one they had was this super futuristic fucking, like a sprinter's wheelchair, like the wheelchairs that the wheelchair sprinters use. Super futuristic one, clearly designed by Toyota. And you could put a headset on and like race it. Like it was sort of up off the ground a bit, so you'd sit on
like
it.
a treadmill or something.
Yeah, essentially. That was powered by your fucking run, and that was a fucking workout. That was tough. Yeah, it was good though. It seemed woefully underutilized. Like I don't know, maybe it was because we're there on a Tuesday, but yeah, it just seems like nobody was checking it out. It was really cool though. Yeah, and then I caught the fucking trains again to get back to my hotel room. Managed to get there 15 minutes before checkout, so that was good. And then yeah, I had like fucking hours before I had to be back at the hotel to catch our transfer to the airport. Like hours and hours. So I just sort of wandered around Shinjuku, looking at shit, seeing if there was stuff to buy, trying to find liquor stores. I bought some Hibiki whiskey, which is a blended Japanese whiskey. I bought some Nikka single malts. Best thing about the best thing about all of this is that you get to taste the whiskey. So had a couple of cheeky whiskeys. Had a couple that I already knew the taste of, but got into it anyway. Yeah, it was good. It was a good crew that went. Me and Shannon Christie from Press Start were the only press. Everyone else was an influencer, I believe. But they're all cool dudes. Like, yeah. Had some really good chats about a whole bunch of stuff. Like just the nature of criticism and how it's changing over the years. Because obviously, as you know, YouTubers, they dabble in criticism quite a bit. One of them, GG Man Lives? GG Man Lives? I don't know. Yep. He's like pretty firmly about that sort of more critically minded stuff, it seems.
Yeah, like if you watch his YouTube videos, he goes pretty detailed into.
Yeah.
I think he just does shooters off the top of my head.
Right.
But yeah, man, he's kind of taken that idea of games criticism but applied it to video content.
Yeah.
Pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had some really good chats about a whole bunch of stuff. Like, yeah, Doom and Red Dead Redemption and all that kind of stuff. It was good. Like, just, it didn't, like, I guess over the years I've sort of warped my perception of influences into something that maybe it isn't, you know? I've gone on trips with sort of these vapid, self-centered people, and there were actually there are a couple of them on this trip, but largely, yeah, it seems like there's heaps that are actually in it because they love games and they want to explore interesting things about games, and that's obviously on me for, you know, assuming they're all the same, but yeah. Anyway, that was my trip to Japan. Watched some movies. Watched Mandy. That was an experience on a plane.
Did you like it? Because I didn't like it when I watched it.
I think I did. I did like it for a while. I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?
What is happening?
What is going on
asleep.
here?"
That was probably my problem.
Yeah, that would have been a death knell for me, I think.
I woke up and being like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Well, you know, I didn't fall asleep and I was still like, what the fuck? But, yeah, I liked it, after a point. I think it was just trying to get you to understand the relationship for a while so that you would understand the loss that Nick Cage's character, whatever the fuck his name is, endures, that sends him over the edge. It's dumb. It's so dumb. It's such a dumb movie, but generally entertaining, I thought. Like, yeah, definitely boring at the start. I thought boring, like proper boring at the start. too weird at the start, but yeah, after a while, you sort of get why it was doing it. Or I did. Anyway, so yeah, watched that. Watched Widows. Great movie. Fucking great movie. I'll probably watch it again sometime soon. I really liked it. That's the one where these chicks, these women, have to pull a heist type thing because their husbands die and they're left holding the bill for what was stolen, essentially. And yeah, it's a really good, like a really good story about a whole bunch of different characters, and there's so many fantastic actors in it. Viola Davis, Liam Neeson, Colin Farrell's fucking great in it. Robert Duvall plays really good, like angry old cunt. Like he's good at that. Yeah, just fantastic.
Punisher.
Movie. Yeah, he's in it for a little bit.
Sean
Barenthal.
Yeah.
He's in it for a second. Paperboy's in it. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it the other night, yeah.
It's good, eh? You didn't like it?
I might have fell asleep for a little
Oh my god. Is this your new thing? Falling asleep in films?
When I lie down on the couch, that's it, man. I just fucking conk out sometimes, and I wake up like, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh no, I just didn't keep me that engaged. Like I feel like it was a slow movie. Like not a lot happens. It's a lot of story. It's not like an Ocean's film where there's this giant heist and they're planning through the whole thing, or Logan Lucky,
yeah.
Logan Lucky, where it's like there's just stuff happening all the time and you're seeing all the bits and pieces put together. This is not as like on a grand scale as that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like I don't think it was a bad movie. I was just like, oh. I liked the other films better. I didn't like Ocean's 8. Was that the one? The recent one?
I like that.
Sandra Bullock. I thought it was fine.
Are you
I didn't like it.
Are you a secret sexist? Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Yeah. No.
There is a fucking pattern forming, Luke.
There is. No, I thought it was fine. Like, but I think that the Ocean's film have like a style about them. They've got a look.
I don't think Widows was a heist film. I think it was a crime thriller.
It was a heist film.
It wasn't a heist film. It's not. It wasn't really about the heist. It was about the relationships of the people related to the crime. Like,
yeah, that was maybe my problem. Is that I went into it thinking, and everyone was like, "It's like a fucking Ocean's film," and I watched it. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, that. I get how. Yeah, it would be a disappointment compared to that.
Yeah, but like it was still shot really well, and it was gory and bloody, and all these good actors. I was just like, oh man, I guess people hyped it up too much for me.
Yeah,
that was probably the problem.
And I watched The Sisters Brothers. Have you seen this? Cowboy movie. It's got John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix and your boy Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Ah, yeah.
Old man, Spidey man. It's awesome. I really liked it. Yeah, cowboy movie. The Sisters Brothers. These two, basically guns for hire, assassins. Like they're really good at what they do. And what they do is kill people, and yeah, like it just tells the story of them going on a job. Jake Gyllenhaal, so that's the Sisters Brothers, John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, River's the dead one. Yeah, they're the brothers, and yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal plays this detective, sort of like a scout who goes out and scouts for them and finds their target for them, and sends word. The target in particular is played by what's he been in? I think he was in The Night Of, but if he wasn't, I'm a horrible racist. I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, but yeah, it's good. It's like it's really entertaining. It's like got like some funny bits to it and good action. It's just a good cowboy movie. Yeah, that's what I watched. But
Right.
on the plane, I played Slay the Spire on my Surface, and apart from the fact that it doesn't do so well with touchscreen controls, it's not amazing with touchscreen controls. Outside of that, it is my new go-to playing game.
Right.
Holy fuck.
So what is it? I don't know anything about it.
Slay the Spire is a card game, a deck building card game. So you start at the bottom of this tower and you fight your way up through the tower. And as you go, you get more cards, and you're trying to build the best possible deck so you can, I guess, kill the tower. I never managed it in my time playing it, but yeah, I can't believe I've been pissing my time away playing fucking dungeon runs in Hearthstone this whole time and being like, oh, the rebel run's not good enough. What is going on here? Oh, I wish this was better. When fucking Slay the Spire has been here the whole time, just being fucking exactly what I always wanted out of this sort of thing. It's awesome. There's 3 characters you can pick from, and each one has sort of a different play style. But yeah, it is exactly that sort of. It's a roguelike. So when you die, you're dead, you start over, but you get stuff that you can take through to the next run. There's just the right amount of RNG. Maybe in some circumstances too much RNG, but generally it's good. Yeah, you just... I don't know, man. I am obsessed with it. It reckons I played 4 hours. I played 4 hours of it yesterday while I was fucking vegging out. Ignore that. Like, I played it like outside of watching Widows. Outside of watching Mandy. I played it for the entire flight to Japan, non-stop, over and over. During meal services, I shifted it because I had a seat free next to me on the way over. By the way, Japan Airlines is fucking amazing. So spacious. Anyway, shifted across to the...
Except the kids.
Well, there's no, it's Qantas on the way back. There was heaps of kids. Yeah, plonked the fucking thing on the other like tray next to me, in the seat next to me, and then just fucking went from there, play that. Yeah, awesome. Highly addictive and just really well crafted. It does that thing I always like in roguelikes where you feel like you're leveling up because your knowledge is increasing. It does that so well. And yeah, the more you learn about it, the better you can do. Technically I had to start over when I came back because Steam wouldn't fucking sync my fucking save from my Surface. So I had to start over. But yeah, didn't matter. I didn't care. I was about it. I went straight in, started playing again. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. You gotta there's a lot to it. So the character you play informs a lot of your play styles. Like you need to think about what cards you're gonna pick based on that. Like if you pick there's like a warrior, a ranger, and a mage type setup. They're not called that, and they don't look like that, but that's basically it. If you play the ranger, you want to focus on like being able to block damage, because you can apply a shit ton of poison damage that will take out your enemies over time, but if you don't live through like the period of time you need to actually get that damage to stick, then you're done. And so you got to think about blocking with that one. The mage character has these orbs that they get around them, and you can deal a shit ton of damage, and you can get a lot of like actual passive protection out of it. But if you like don't wind up using those orbs at the right time, they can passively give you like deal damage, or they actively give you damage if you like use them, if you use the orbs. And it's very very easy to find yourself in a place where you just don't want to use the orbs because you want to keep the passive damage up, but it's just it's inefficient for you to do it that way, and you need to learn that sort of play style, and you need to pick cards that allow you to activate those orbs more often, or replace the orbs if you need to, or you can get like fucking tons of orbs around you, and you just need the right cards to do it. You got to make the right choices to get there. It's just one of those games where there aren't, like, you're just trying to create the best path to victory, right? The most efficient path to victory, and it's so easy for you to fuck it up in a heartbeat. But you always know, like, when you fucked it up, you always know how you fucked it up, and that's really important because it allows you to learn and not make the same mistake. Well, theoretically, not make the same mistake next time, which is good. If you like card games, if you like deck building, 100% spectacular game, fantastic. Love it to bits, and I think it only just came out of early access, which is why I got it. And it's fucking awesome on a plane. I think it might be coming to Switch. It'd probably be great on Switch for now, right, if you've got a Surface. Once you get over the slightly annoying touch controls, primo.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. So that's pretty much all you've been. Oh no, we can talk about we'll talk about Rage last, I think.
Sure. Why don't we talk about Anthem?
Let's talk about Anthem. So Anthem, the VIP demo launched during the week.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, Anthem is a third-person action game where you're basically controlling these giant Iron Man suits. Well, they're not just Iron Man suits, right? These robotic suits that have flying abilities. They've got weapons on them, rockets. They've got different types of like suits that you can get in. They're all called javelins, and you go out exploring these worlds and do quests and missions and whatnot. It is very Destiny-esque, or the Division, like the games where you're going out, you're doing missions, you're getting loot, like there's the whole grindy aspects. But it's definitely got like, this definitely feels like it's a EA's answer to Activision's Destiny. But anyway, so we had a lot of our group was in this VIP demo. You weren't in it. You were on this Japan trip, but it wasn't a smooth launch for them in particular this weekend. I got up pretty early, about 9 o'clock. I think the beta started about 4 a.m. I wasn't staying up till then because most of our crew usually goes to bed. So I was like, I'll get up early, I'll jump in with people, and we'll take off and see what's going on.
Yep.
I get up at 9 a.m. The internet is on fire because like everybody is just complaining about it, like not working and all these problems and whatnot. And I'm like, whatever, right? I basically fired it up. I got into the game, no issues at that stage, and then we slowly had groups of people jumping in. I'd say about 50%, maybe half of our group couldn't actually get the game to, like, couldn't log in. They were getting errors about, and this isn't a game issue. This is a services problem for something that's not probably going to be even relevant to the game, hopefully. But they were getting errors about like not being in the actual VIP demo, things like that. So they couldn't launch it. They couldn't even get in at all. So that was a big problem. So I'd say probably half. They ended up fixing it after about a day.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an issue that was affecting our group at least, and a lot of people out there. Don't know really why it was happening. There was speculation about like people that had signed up to Premiere at one stage and then cancelled and then re-signed back up again, and like the service couldn't determine like what was really going on with your account. Anyway, but lots of weird, like people not knowing why they could get in and why some people couldn't. like all the people that were playing in our group had actual VIP demos from like media keys, and the ones that weren't getting in didn't have them. But so there was like, well, is it just weird stuff like that is going on? Just strange. So that was kind of the start of really the problems. Anyway, so you get in, and the game starts you off in sort of this central hub area, and that is where you walk around, talk to characters. There are vendors around the place.
Fort Tarsus, right?
Yes. I don't know if there's going to be multiple of those areas, or it's just like the one, because Destiny had like different places you go to throughout the game, but this is what we got to see. And yeah, so there's vendors, there are places you can go to customize your javelin. As you go out in the world and get loot, bring it back. You can buy cosmetic items, all that sort of stuff. So it's just kind of like this area that you roam around while you're not in an actual mission, and you're trying to progress the story and learn about what's going on. And then so at this stage, we jump into a group, and I'm the leader for whatever reason. I can't remember why. And then so I'm selecting a mission, and I'm trying to start like the expedition, and I'm like clicking on this screen, and like it's not starting. Like I don't know what is going on. Like I'm clicking, nothing's happening. It's basically got like pick your mission, pick your difficulty, and then something else down the bottom, like private game or like open world, like open game, so you can play with other people, or you just want to kind of lock it down to your own group. And so like I'm clicking on stuff, and I'm like, I'm pressing it, but nothing's like, it's not doing anything. Like the menus are terrible. And then so I back out, and then one of the other guys hosts, and then we all jump into his group, and then he starts it up. He's like, it's not working for me either. I don't know. It's like I'm clicking it and nothing's happening. And then this goes on for like a minute and a half. And then he goes, oh wait, you have to back out and then press the start button. And then so he presses that, and it fires up. It's such a like clunky UI experience, and it's just not that bit. It's like a lot of the menus in the game aren't designed very well.
Obtuse.
Especially for things like PC. It doesn't run great on PC, the menus. It feels like they've designed these menus for console or something like that. But even just simple things of UI issues of when you leave your javelin, and we were like, all right, where do we go to customize our javelin? Like, where do we go? And like, I'm running around for a while looking for this thing, and it's next to like a lady standing there. It's like a little panel, but on the demo, and I don't know if they're doing this to declutter the things around you, but it doesn't actually pop up that it's a thing you can interact with unless you're right on top of it. So we had a couple of people in our group that would come in and be like, we'd have to actually guide them to where this thing is, and it would take them a while. Everybody was struggling to find some of this stuff. So I think the UI needs some work. It's got some problems. But once you get into the game, it's pretty. Yeah.
Hang on. So I was in Japan to play Anthem.
Yeah.
And I played this. I played essentially the VIP demo content.
Okay.
They had us play a couple of hours of that before we played the end game, and I'm not allowed to talk about the end game stuff at all until after embargo, but I can talk about essentially what you saw as well.
And so you were on console?
No, we were on PCs.
You guys were on PC. Okay.
Yeah, and they wanted us to play on PC. They were very stingy with the controllers because I wanted a controller so I could use that for flying and swimming, and just switch between the two, which is what I do normally. Like, it's what I do in Battlefield. So I wanted one, but they're like, oh no, we need it for people, like, we don't have that many controllers. We need them for people who can only play on controller. So yeah, I didn't get a controller. But that system was like the Forge in particular, the customizing your javelin thing, that existed in the build I played. Like, you couldn't see it unless you were right on top of it. But so I believe it was not the VIP demo exactly that I was playing. It was essentially the start of the game that I was playing. I don't think the VIP demo was the start of the game necessarily. I think it dumped you in a little bit further in, right?
Well, yeah, you started at level 10.
Yeah. So it walks you through where the forge is and shit, or it walked me through where the forge was and stuff. So it was one of those things where they goofed in dumping you far enough forward that you would never be able to tell where the fucking forge is without being told it. So yeah, you had to guide people to what the game will guide you to when you play the full game. It was definitely obtuse. I had exactly the same problem with the start button as well. I encountered the exact same thing. I was sitting there, we had a group of 4, and we're trying to jump in and play, and I could not for the fucking life of me work out how the fuck I'm supposed to do it. I had to call someone from BioWare over, and I'm like, how do I do this? And they're like, oh, it's so easy, just tap, press start. I'm like, why?
Why do you have to do that? Yeah.
Why is it like that? And they're like, it's super, like, it's super good once you know how to do it. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't, did I? And like, yeah. No, but you will. We'll make sure. We'll make sure people know. Like, fucking, I would hope, because it was like maddening. It was proper maddening.
Yeah, because I talked to somebody else yesterday at another preview event for a game I can't talk about yet, but they like I didn't bring this up yet. That was the first thing they talked to me about, was like, couldn't get the mission to start because we couldn't figure out how to start. I'm like, oh my gosh, we had the same problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're stupid idiots, but like, I don't know, we've just been trained to be just like, we're not patient enough and just like fucking clicking stuff and being like, why is it not starting? What is going on?
It just doesn't make sense that you would have to back out to get to a point where you can fucking, like, I guess there is an intuitive element to the fact that to get out of the expedition screen, or whatever the fuck it's called, to get out of it, it's a long press. You have to press and hold.
Yeah, hold everything.
Which would, like, sort of, I guess, you could intuit from that if you can otherwise press escape to get to the main screen, right, it's not going to back you all the way out. But not ideal. Not even a little bit ideal. I'm just staggered that it got to the point where they were like, yep, let's just go with that.
Yeah. So yeah, once you get into the game, you select a mission, off you go. It either match makes you with people, or you can jump in solo if you want, or a group of your friends, and off you go. And the first thing you kind of introduced to is, I guess, the flying and the movement of the javelin, in particular.
Yeah.
And it's got some pretty basic controls. There is a jump button. There is a double jump. There is a fly button, which makes you go off and fly. There is you can hover, and you can dodge or roll in your javelin. So they're kind of, I think I've covered everything. But yeah, man, it took me a good while to get used to it on PC, because
the flying.
The same thing of like flying with a mouse and keyboard in Battlefield. It's got that same feel, and straight up, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels terrible. Like, I literally plugged in my controller to be like, I think I'm gonna have to fly with my javelin using a controller, or get my fucking joystick out, like my flight stick, and use that. But the problem there is that you end up relying on your flying a lot during combat.
Yeah.
And so you've either got to use one or the other, and at the end of the day, I'm going to stick with the mouse and keyboard. I think by the end of I played probably 10 hours, maybe a bit less. I played quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I definitely got used to it, but there's just something about it that just doesn't feel 100% right with it on mouse and keyboard. And I think that is even more so when you start to experience the swimming as well. Like, the swimming is not working at all in that game.
The swimming is, for me, let me just think.
There's swimming in the VIP demo.
Yeah, the swimming was, for me, like the flying, except now, like, you have to do it in a fucking tube, and you can't see anything. Like,
and it moves even wonkier. Like they turned up the wonkiness of the controls.
so I got a question. So in the build we played, we had a bunch of settings for like flight and swimming controls. Like not just flight sensitivity, but like sensitivity, dead zone, and responsiveness. Did you adjust any of that stuff?
I didn't touch. The only thing I touched was my flying sensitivity.
If you lower flying sensitivity all the way down and you lower, I think it was responsiveness to about half of what it was, it becomes extremely manageable. And the other thing that
right?
Well, you can do it for swimming as well. I don't think you can make swimming. I couldn't make swimming feel good because the other thing I was doing while I was flying was I'd tap C to hover. Yeah. And you can use that pretty liberally to reorient yourself pretty quickly, so that you can do some pretty, like I was doing some pretty tricky maneuver type shit.
Yeah. Using
hover as a quick pivot, but it didn't like. It was like the swimming parts. I didn't experience any combat in the swimming parts. I only experienced traversal.
Yeah.
And so that trick didn't really help in the swimming parts. Yeah.
So yeah, the mission. I guess the mission structures are very Destiny-esque as well. Like you pick a mission, and then that's the mission you're on. You get into the world, you go into it, and then once you finish that mission, you go back to your base. There is like a free roam, like running around the world and fighting all these creatures and monsters that are around the place. You can do that, same as Destiny. But as far as I'm aware, they're going to do like the events. Like they'll have events throughout the world that'll happen. I didn't experience any of those because I didn't really do much free play. I just kind of I tried to, and it just seemed like it was pretty empty. I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing in that area because nothing was really triggering. So whatever. But yeah, you basically pick a mission, and I think in this demo in particular, I think there was 3 missions and then a stronghold. The first mission was basically you going out and completing a bunch of tasks and coming back. There was no real boss fight involved. It was usually just like wave-based enemy encounters, and going from point A and point B and back. And I guess the biggest thing that was going on here was the loading that was happening as you're kind of going through one area to another. That was something I was not expecting. And I guess that it was a thing that was like tenfold for us because the loading wasn't quick in some circumstances. Like sometimes some of our guys, it was taking them a while to load into the actual like next part of the map or whatever it was, and we'd be like, did you crash or like what's going on? And they'd be like, no, it's just still loading, it's still going. So that is kind of a bit disjointing that's really in there. Like you're going from one point to another, and 30 seconds later you're loading into another loading screen.
That's interesting. The only loading I experienced was when I died. So I played a lot of free roam because I didn't.
First map that first mission you pick has loading screens, and I think this.
So yeah,
this second one as well.
We did like the opening of the game, and then went straight into free roam from there. We didn't play the missions because we didn't want to spoil ourselves.
Right.
So yeah, we just did free roam, and there didn't seem to be any loading except when you died, and it would reset you back to the checkpoint type area.
Yeah.
That was the only time I loaded. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Even on bigger missions that I did, there was no loading.
Yeah. So this particular mission was like you get into this giant area, and there are a bunch of like panels on the wall, and it's like a puzzle room.
Yeah.
At this particular part of the mission, and you have to try and figure out like the combination, like switches, and there's like an image, and one of them's purple, and one of them's yellow, and the other one's green.
Yeah.
Or it could be red or something. Like, there's different combinations. You have to look around the room and kind of figure out like what the puzzle is, how to solve it. And that particular room is where you get into, and that's where that loading screen happens. And that's going in and out. And then also later on in one of the other missions, you go back to that area, and it's like completely changed. It's been like overrun by these like giant scorpion-looking insects. So I know in particular that's where we were having problems.
Right.
On top of that, they had this loading bug where if you get to about 95% of the way through loading, and it'd just sit there and it just wouldn't load anymore.
Right.
You like, the game hadn't crashed. You'd alt tab and it's still running, but just nothing had happened. And this was like a widespread issue. It was happening a lot. Happened to me about 5 times, I think, during that weekend. And then that also was happening like just midway through a mission. You'd be playing it, it'd just pop up like you'd been disconnected, or like the server had crashed, or something was going on, and that'd just pop up all of a sudden. You'd have a loading screen, and you're like, that's weird, why is there a loading screen here? And then to get to 95%, you're like, oh, okay, something's happened, it's crashed. And if you were too slow to notice that it was actually a problem, you'd basically lose all your entire progress. And the only way you can get around that is if nobody else in the server that you were in, your group, had crashed. That way you could rejoin the game midway through. Or for whatever reason, maybe the session had still been running, but you'd have to be really quick to get on that, from what I was reading. Because whenever I tried to do it, it never worked. It would always just chuck me back into either the start of the game again, or at one time it said if I wanted to rejoin, and I pressed it and it failed. So that was a big issue as well. So this loading screen was, fingers crossed it loads this time.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and then also on top of that, the whole, if you died and you were waiting for a checkpoint, you had to fingers crossed that your game would load, and if it did, then yay, it's all good. But otherwise, you had to restart the game entirely and hope you could get back in before everybody else finished the mission. Because that happened to guys in our group.
They should have called. I don't know why they called it a demo. They should have called it a beta. I know it's such a pointless distinction.
Yeah, right.
But man, how much more palatable would these issues be if it was called a beta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, we had one. I think it was Drew that happened to. He had this. He dropped out at one stage, and we were at the end of a mission. We finished the mission before he get back in, and he didn't get any progress. None of the loot he got was saved, and all that stuff. I had that same issue a bunch of times where I would complete a mission and it would crash at the end while it was loading or something like that, or I'd be 30-40 minutes into a mission and I'd get disconnected, or I'd get the loading thing would pop up and then I couldn't get back in, so I basically lost. Like, you lose all your crafting materials, you lose all the gear that you've gotten through that entire run. You don't get any experience. Like, the only time that any of that stuff counts is when you get the completed, like, you've completed your mission at the end of the game, and it shows you, like, here's all your experience, here's all the gear you got. Like, it's only saving it at that point of the game.
Yep.
And that's a huge oversight. That's a huge problem for a loot-driven game where they've got these big, expansive levels, and if you're not there the entire thing, or something goes wrong, like, all that 40 minutes, an hour is fucked. Like, if they're gonna have these end-game things where they go on for a long time, really difficult stuff, and this stuff, like, these issues are still there, it's gonna cause so many problems for people. It should be saving that loot all the time. Like, it should be updating it. Like, you got it, alright, well, fair enough, you got disconnected, but at least we've saved all the things, all your progress that you've made.
Yeah.
Because I could see you throwing shit through a TV, or like you playing for an hour and a half, like us getting to the end of the level and it fucking up, or all of us getting disconnected, and all the stuff we got is gone. Like, that is an uninstall moment.
Yeah, that would be a proper fucking tanty.
But for me, because it was a demo and it's like, I'm just playing around, totally. I don't really care. Like, even though it happened half a dozen times to me, I was like, oh, whatever, fuck it.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, yeah, I like that. That's understandable. But if it's in the fucking final game, yeah, they're gonna wear some shit.
Hmm.
They want it to succeed. They want it to succeed so much. Not just because obviously everyone wants everything to succeed, but I got the feeling that like BioWare loves this world they've created. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think? Like when you could play it, what'd you think?
Let me talk about 2 more issues, and then we'll talk about the good stuff.
Hell.
I'm still going.
Jesus.
There was issues where I had it once happen, but I read other people having it, where the sound would just completely cut out.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me once. For whatever reason, just stopped working. I had to kill the game and come back in. The other thing is that progress is tied to the host. So if I jump into your game and you're hosting, and we do a bunch of levels, at least in the demo, if I jump into my game solo, I can't, like, those levels haven't progressed for me. I've got to start at script.
No.
Yeah. Because we were playing quite a lot over the weekend, and I wasn't, obviously I stopped hosting. I think Kleb was hosting that stage. I think we'd done all 3 missions by the end of that game. And then we were like, okay, cool, we're done. Like that's everything. We've seen it all. All right, fair enough. We replayed a couple of the missions on hard. All right, jumped out. A bunch of the guys left, but I was like, I'm gonna keep playing, whatever. And then so I jumped into my game and I looked at the map and I didn't have any missions on my screen. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, how was Kleb replaying these missions? I don't really understand what's happening. And the only one I had was the Stronghold mission. And then so I was like, oh, okay. But at that stage, I didn't realize that it was like that was the mission. Like I was like, where are all the others? I was just like, okay, so I'll play that one. So I played the Stronghold mission. I'm like, we didn't play this one. So I messaged you guys like, we missed the mission. We should jump back in later and play it. And then so I escaped out so I could play with the guys later. And I'm like, why none of my missions showing up? And then I had to go. I looked at my map and I was like, I have to go talk to these people. And then so I had to start like the quest chain of talking to people and then initiating that quest. And then, all right, I've talked to that person. Oh, now that mission's on my map. And then so I began the progress of like going through the game.
Yeah. Okay. So I think everyone needs to do the talking.
No, I
in between. But
Yeah.
were you talking in between while Kleb was hosting?
No, we would just.
I think
jump into
everyone
the
needs to do the talking to
Yeah.
make sure that the quest triggers as completed.
Right.
I think you need to talk to the people in Fort Tarsus for that to work.
Right, but that
It's
was
not
the problem,
Far Cry, it's like 5 style, where it just never happened.
No, but I had to go back and start again. Like I talked to the guy, got the mission, did the mission, then had to like start that whole chain again. And
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is when Kleb was going around and talking to people, you should have been going around and talking to people.
Right,
as
but
well.
the game didn't give us any.
No,
indication
absolutely.
to do
But
that,
there's
so.
yeah, once again, like it's one of those things that seems like it was explained prior to the point you were dumped into in the demo.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it is there. Like it does work that way, but from what we were playing, like it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Even though we completed it, like it just like, oh, you have to redo it again. It wasn't like, oh, it didn't look at it and go, oh, you've actually already done this. Like we'll just skip you. You don't have to actually do this part. You can just talk to the people. Anyway, it was just like, nah, you need to go through this entire quest, and then it'll kick off the next part. You need to speak to someone.
Yeah, definitely seems like you absolutely have to do the talking prior to starting the mission. So it would have to be something. I mean, it's got a super fucking robust matchmaking system, like actually genuinely impressive. But you would need to have completed the requirements to get to the point where you begin.
What do you mean by impressive or robust?
Uh,
Because maybe I can break that down for you.
like
We'll put it this way: I was playing as level 15,
Yeah.
and jumping into games with like level 10s and 11s.
Yep. And it's automatically scaling shit. Everything.
Yeah.
The 10s are not having a harder experience because you're there. You're not having an easier experience because you're there. The same happens for 30s and 1s.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty
Okay.
sick to me.
I
It's
was
not
always
like
talking about like it matching you with the people at the same level.
it's supposed to try, but no, I was more talking about like I remember in the Division. Remember, I went away for fucking the Division opening weekend, and I got back, and I had to fucking play the entire Division on my own. Yeah.
We can talk about it next week.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the good bits, the missions. Yeah, like I think the gameplay is really fun. And like the getting the loot. Because there's a ton of it. Like it's.
We could release. Hang on. We could release this podcast at 2 a.m. and I could talk about all the 2 a.m. on Saturday, and I could talk about all the other stuff, or we can just hold off until and talk about endgame stuff next week.
Let's hold off.
All right. Yeah. Who knows what the fuck we're going to talk about next week? All right.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff. Yeah. So I enjoyed the bits they've got in there. I think the once you get the hang of the combat, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Like flying around. Shooting people and then like doing combos with your teammates. So the way that
combos are so fucking cool. That's such a really good thing. Like such a really good gameplay feature, in my opinion. Such a really inventive way to get you to coordinate with your team.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the way it kind of works is you've got abilities, and when you use them, they sort of drop into a cooldown. And the idea is that you use an ability on something, and then hopefully you start chaining those abilities with somebody else, or even one of your other abilities. So like, you could freeze somebody.
I'll explain it a bit more directly. There's some abilities called primers, and there are some called detonators. And you freeze someone, and that primes the enemy, and then you tell someone else. You can do it yourself, but like if you've got a detonator skill, but generally it's more efficient to have someone else use their detonator ability on the fucking enemy. In which case they'll fucking nuke whatever is primed. That's the way that those things work. And a lot of the abilities have like specific buffs related to being detonated. So you'll wind up having like 5% cooldown reduction when primers are detonated or something like that. So you just run around priming as much as you fucking can, and then someone comes in and detonates them, and suddenly you can start like doing it again. And so using it that way, you're able to fucking never stop. Like you can get a fucking fantastic flow going as long as you're comboing with the other player. You can do it. Yeah, you can absolutely do it yourself. When I was playing the starting stuff, I had like primer and detonator, like primer on one hand, detonator on the other, and my teammates were all fucking useless. So I was like just nuking the fuck out of everything. But I believe it is more it's more efficient if someone else is doing the detonator.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that becomes like people having different roles on top of what abilities they've got, because there are different javelins, and each javelin has their own sort of strengths and weaknesses. There's like a big tanky javelin, or a scout that's
Colossus.
I don't think he's quicker, but he didn't seem to be quicker. Like he wasn't flying quicker than other people.
Which one was the scout?
It seemed, I don't know, man. Storm? Was that him?
Storm was like
the
fucking glass cannon. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. One of them, but it seemed like they had a sleek-looking javelin.
Was it like the melee-focused one, the Inquisitor or something?
Yeah, I think that might have been it.
Yeah, right. And then there's I can't remember the fourth one, but yeah, there's 4 different javelins.
I just stuck with default Iron Man suit because I quite like the rockets.
That's the 4th one. I can't remember the name of. Ranger?
Yeah, the Ranger.
Yeah. He's sort of like, he's a detonator, right?
Yeah.
And the Storm's supposed to do a lot of priming, and the Ranger's supposed to detonate them at range.
Yeah.
And the Inquisitor, or whatever the fuck it is, the really fast one, is another detonator. It's supposed to go in, do a lot of like close range damage, and the Colossus is supposed to tank damage. I've got some, be easier to talk about more about that stuff next week.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the combat, like the way it flows, is pretty good. I don't feel like it's the stuff that I saw was pretty basic, like your standard go stand here and we're gonna spawn waves of enemies at you. Like it wasn't really. I don't feel like it did anything that I hadn't seen before. But again, like I guess we can talk about this next week. We'll see what the end game content is like. But the mission structures from the stuff that we'd seen, pretty simple. And then eventually you kind of get to the end of the mission and to throw like a giant robot at you, and it would just keep spawning waves of enemies into the arena. And then you'd have to try and kill this giant thing. And the weak points on the robots, sometimes like there'd be a giant robot and you have to shoot his legs out. Other times there'd be these big dudes with shields and you have to shoot like the gas canisters on their sides or the back of them to do more damage. Usual like cannon fodder enemies, just hit them in the head. Like they've all got these kind of areas that you have to sort of focus on.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's just pretty standard. Like it's fun, seems fun to play as gameplay standpoint. Just not really doing a lot that I've seen that's different to other
like
sort of RPGs.
It's good shooting. I think it's good shooting. It's hard to go up against Destiny, right? Because Bungie, for all their faults, and there are so many faults, they're good at shooters. Like they're good at shooting in general. They might not be able to craft a story for shit, but they're good at shooting. So it's hard to go up against it, but I don't think Anthem falls that short, right, in the shooting department. And what it makes up for, where it lacks in the shooting situation, it makes up for in the mobility. Once you get a handle on the flight system, once you get a handle on utilizing that mobility, it feels like you're able to like do a lot more that you maybe weren't able to necessarily, you aren't able to do in games that are similar, you know, like you're able to, for example, with those big shield dudes, you'd freeze someone and then skirt around quickly to their side to make sure your detonator lands on that crit point, you know, and you can use that mobility in different ways that, you might not be thinking about, like the fact that you only pick up, you have to go pick up health and shit, right? You don't just auto regen. You regen your bar, the last bar you got, and you regen your shield. Yeah. But if you're if you're a Colossus and you don't have any shield, you've got your shield, but you don't have like blue shield, right? You have to go fucking get some health, or else you're gonna fucking die. And so mobility in that sense changes the way you think about the actual environment that you're playing through. Like changes the way you think about the landscape of the battle, because suddenly, you have to punch through, get to that fucking health. In some cases, or else you lose. And it can get, it gets fucking hairy. So I think, like as a shooter, they'd always struggle to compete with Destiny, but they've done some really interesting and smart things in incentivizing you to push. It's hard to sit back and just pick shit off. I think the Storm has it probably easiest because they can prime from. I found myself able to prime enemies from a distance. Most of the primers had an arc, but as long as I aimed, you can actually arc it pretty good and stuff like that.
It's pretty lenient with the aiming system. If you aim at someone and you've got a grenade, it'll target the arc for you on the spot. Whereas if you're aiming at the ground and then move across to them, you've actually got to try and figure out the angle.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just do it straight on them, it just calculates it for you. That stuff is really smart.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest gripe with the combat would be I think the shooting is good, but the being shot at, I think there's a problem there. It's really hard to gauge what exactly is hitting you and from where, because everybody not everybody's using projectile weapons of like bullets. Some of them are using rockets and whatnot. So, for instance, the big boss fight with the spider-looking creature, there's all these giant mountains that you can sort of sit on and look down, but like you could stand back and not see anybody, but you'd still be getting hit by something, but you couldn't really tell where it was coming from, and on the screen you couldn't really see there were any bullets hitting you, but you're still being hit. And I found that was kind of the same thing on the ground. Like once you started getting hit, it was just a case of shit, I just need to pop my shield or just fly away, because I don't really know what is actually hitting me and what's like. There's all these things around me, and it just looks like I'm just being shot, but I can't really tell from where or what the bullets are. They didn't convey that information very well.
I noticed that a couple of times as well. It felt more like it was a question of like managing your positioning.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to make excuses for it. Like it did, like I do think they could convey it better, because there were a couple of times where I was certain I was behind cover and I was like dying, and I'm like, I can't die right now. If I die right now, we're fucked.
Yeah. And it's like, am I getting hit by a rocket that's flying into the air and then dropping down on me, or like what is shooting at me?
I thought bullets were like clipping through a wall or something.
Well, that's what I thought was happening when we're up top of like on top of this thing, because like no one's got an angle on us. So what is actually hitting us? I don't know.
That's two times that it happened to me. It turned out there was a sneaky little fuck who sneakied his way into my back line. And so it's he just had a fucking free reign on shooting me in the fucking ass. That was bad. I had to find him, but it was okay. Yeah. Once I found him and he died, it was fine. So bullets don't clip through walls and shit. You just have to be careful of people sneaking into your backline. But yeah, no, you could definitely, like, the old fucking indicator, the hit indicator, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, it doesn't seem like it does have one, right? It's just not as effective as it could be. Yeah,
no, especially when it's a game where you're in a 3D space, like you're flying, it's not just you on the ground; you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is there? The loot. I'm enjoying the loot aspect of it. I think there's still a lot of work that they could do with that. I don't like that there's no DPS meter on the guns, so you have to be a fucking mathematician to try and figure out exactly how much damage you're doing on a gun and what gun is better. Like, is this assault rifle better than this assault rifle?
Oh, come on. I hate when they dumb it down with the fucking, one giant number that tells you directly that a certain gun is better than another one.
I like it. Joab does it that way. Where it's like...
Yeah, they shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Oh, my God. It totally dumbs everything way too far down. Like, yeah, no. You should. It encourages you to experiment with different guns if you have to fucking work out what is what. 100%. You might prefer a certain rate of fire. Like, even if it does slightly less damage, it might be better for you to try that gun out instead of just, well, like this number tells me that this is the best gun, so this is just what I'll use.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And most of that DPS shit also doesn't take into account like cooldown reduction or anything like that. I know it doesn't in Diablo. I'm pretty sure it doesn't in Diablo. I don't know what Division does that shit too, right? Like Division 1 does that stuff.
It had DPS meters.
Yeah, it had a DPS number.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it never took into account like a holistic idea of the gun. Yeah, exactly. You know, come on.
Just give me damage and rate of fire. Let me know. Just let me know how much how the fuck is, like, showing me a bar and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But I found that a lot. I don't know if this is just the way the game is, or it was just a demo. But Diablo does the thing where it's like, all right, here's a set name of a weapon, and it sort of randomizes certain elements of it. Whereas in this, I was getting like a lot of the guns that were sort of the same and like set stats of being like they were all the same stat. So that sort of seems to be the way they're going with it, as opposed to being like, all right, here's the name of a gun, and it's maybe this one's rate of fire is a little bit quicker, or it's got more damage or more ammo, or if it was just a demo, like these are the set tiles we're having for these weapons, and they're all the same damage and whatnot. Because I got to stuff towards the end, and it was just like the same loot over and over.
What was the best piece of loot you got?
I don't know what I ended up finishing with, but I was pretty much decked out in all blues. I think it was by the end of that game.
Yeah.
Is it blues? Yeah. I think that's. I don't think you can get purples. I'm trying to think in the demo. I don't think you can get purples, but it was all blues. Most of it was now level, I think, 19 by the time I was done.
Right.
So I played quite a bit.
Yeah, fucking hell. Nice. I remember in Destiny 1, I had a yellow at level 4. And it was the only fucking gun I played. I basically didn't use any other guns for the rest of the fucking game after that.
Right.
Like, why would you?
Them.
Yeah, well, no, you didn't need to back then. They just scaled with you, the elites. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, it was just, yeah, cool. Well, I guess looting's done for me. But yeah, it seems like they've tiered that shit a lot more. Like, I don't think you will find yellows and stuff at level 10 to 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Be cool if you did though.
Yeah.
Like just a super low chance, like a 0.01 chance or some shit. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Everyone, like, it's that, you know, it is extrinsic rewards focused, but everyone loves that big hit of winning the gun lottery. You know. Yeah.
So I did a stronghold as well,
Sure.
and these seem more like raids or like mini raids.
Yep.
A bit more if you're like going from point A to B, beating a boss, doing a puzzle, fighting another boss, like fighting some arenas. Like there's multiple parts to these missions as opposed to just doing this one thing and then, all right, the mission's over. Like it took quite a bit of time to get through, and this is the one in particular where it had the bit where you go underwater and you're swimming. And the first time I jumped into that and we had a group, we must have been underwater for about 20 minutes. I think maybe 25 minutes. Like we got completely lost and turned around. There's like all these underwater like tunnels in the area. At one stage I get to this giant door and I'm like, okay, everyone needs to come to this giant door. And I'm like trying to fucking shepherd all these, or like trying to herd all these people to this giant door, and then I'd go underwater and I'd throw fucking flares at them just to be like, come this way. Eventually I get like at one stage there's like 3 of us.
Did the flares work?
No, they're just like they glow a little bit.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is throw them on people and they get stuck on them. But anyway, at one point, like, there's 3 of us there. One dude disappears to go find the other guy, but then the other guy actually turns up, and so we've lost the last guy. I'm like, oh man.
Oh my lord.
So eventually we all get to this door. I'm like, sweet, and then nothing happens. The door doesn't open. I'm like, what the fuck? Where are we supposed to go? This fucking door is not opening. And I was like, this is definitely where we got to go, right? So we end up leaving, going underwater, and then eventually I came back to the door and it was open. And I'm like, what?
Oh, it took some time to open. That's gold.
Oh, no, but I've done that stronghold mission a bunch of other times, and every time I get to it, it's already open. Just for whatever reason, the first time I did it, the door was closed and didn't open for about fucking half an hour. Oh, and I was so angry.
What was that? Yeah. What was the boss at the end of that stronghold mission?
So like a giant spider. Yeah. And so in this one, you eventually, like, you're going around and you're picking up these cubes and you have to deliver them to these floaty fucking weird alien shit that's like flickering. And while you're carrying these devices, you can't fly, so it kind of forces you to stay on the ground and for other people to sort of protect you while there's enemies attacking you. And each room has like 2 of these things, so it's like 2 people can carry and whatever. But by the end of that weekend, we were doing those missions so quickly. Like, pick up the fucking cube and just run. Like, don't fight anything. We kind of figured out the trick, and by that stage it was like we didn't really need to fight anything anymore.
Yep.
Just kind of run around, and eventually you get to the end and it kills everything for you anyway.
Did it randomize the location of the cubes?
No, they're always in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
So we and then like you would game it so that, you know, 2 people would pick one up and then you wouldn't actually like put it on the thing straight away. Otherwise it'd spawn more people, like more enemies would come out. So you'd kind of just drop them all up there and then just pick them up and put them all at the same time type thing.
Right.
Just stuff like that. and then like that would trigger another part where there's this bubble, this like electromagnetic bubble you'd have to stay in, and while it threw waves of enemies that you had to kind of defend or stay in the area at a certain amount of time. So it was like changing it up a little bit. Like there was different phases to what was going on in the game, and then you get to the boss fight and whatnot. But yeah, it just kind of like this is the same sort of stuff that I'd seen in World of Warcraft 15 years ago type stuff, or the stuff that I saw in this. And again, I haven't played endgame content. Like the stuff that you hear that Destiny's doing and the way they do their raids seems interesting. And I guess World of Warcraft is like that as well. Like it takes people time to figure out how to do it.
But strongholds aren't raids. They're more like
like mini
dungeons.
Dungeons. Yeah, there's mini raids. So yeah, like I don't know how they're going to play out, if they're going to be as complicated. But yeah, like it's still like I'm waiting for them to show us something, and I'm like, all right, that's different. Like there's.
What do you want to see?
Different.
What do you want from this game?
Just something that's not like that. Just feels like it's going after Destiny money or something like that. Like I just wanted to see something like stuff that's new that I haven't seen before, or trying to do new and improve things as opposed to just copying Destiny.
It's a bit
harsh.
Which
I don't think is going. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
It's a bit harsh, like that. I think that is a bit of a harsh, like summation of what Anthem is, because I don't think it is directly aping Destiny. I think you can have a loot shooter, and like I think it's fair to compare it to Destiny, obviously, and the Division. And I haven't played Warframe, but I've heard compared to Warframe. But yeah, I think it's unfair to say it's literally just Destiny, but in third person or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just strikes me as pretty harsh.
We'll see.
Because I don't think it is. I think there's I think the Javelin system, being able to switch that shit whenever the fuck you want, and the flight and stuff, I think that makes it quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Opens things up.
No, I'm talking about like the mission structures.
But like, what's the Diablo mission?
Generally, it's just running from one point to another. But like, that's a game. But nobody's come along and was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna rip off Diablo, but we'll make exactly the same game." Generally,
Titan Quest
games have tried to do some stuff that's different, or tried to introduce new mechanics into the game. Every
so
Diablo
what's flying? What's javelins? How are they not different?
It's just a
you just don't count
around.
them. Oh my lord! Just a different way.
It
changes combat up. Oh yeah, but like how is like if you're gonna like wipe out half the fucking game and then you're like, yeah, it's exactly like Destiny. It doesn't do anything different. Yeah, because you're like, you don't count half of it. You're like rugby league and rugby union are identical.
They are the same.
Oh my lord. Oh my fuck.
They're exactly the same. I don't watch them.
Soccer and basketball are the same. They both have a round ball and a goal or whatever.
Football.
Huh?
Football.
You just correct me from saying soccer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is anything else to talk about? Looking at my notes that I put down. No, I think that's about it. Like, yeah, I mean, I played a lot of it. Still play a lot. Still enjoyed it. I just hope they fix all the bugs and all the wonky shit. You couldn't rebind controls.
Couldn't rebind controls?
No, you couldn't rebind. Could you rebind controls?
That's crazy.
No, sorry, you could. The problem I was having was, for whatever reason, they had two buttons bound to zoom, and whenever I tried to remap, like, I'll try and remap those two buttons to another button because it was my push to talk on my my mouse, and then I'd rebind it and it wouldn't work, and I'm like, what the fuck? But what was happening was whenever I rebound one of the buttons and then I rebound the second one, it would just override, so I couldn't make them the same button all the time. Anyway, that was the problem. So yes, I could rebind them. What I couldn't do was turn off some of the graphical settings. You turn them off, I just didn't do anything.
Right.
The motion blur was always on.
Okay.
On top of that, the game obviously not finished.
Yeah.
It's not out until next month.
Yep.
It didn't run particularly great. I've got a 2080 I was reading up on people that had 2080 Ti's that were averaging like 60 frames, and they would try and drop the graphical settings, and it really didn't do much at all. I was having between 70 and 35, 40 at certain times, and just depending on how many people were on the screen, it'd drop a bit more. So, like, fingers crossed that once it comes out, they optimize all that stuff and video drivers fix it all, because it's definitely a pretty game, and I don't want to have to turn it down to low or medium or something like that. All right, next game on the list. I'm going to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. Have you played any Kingdom Hearts games before, Joab?
Yeah, one.
Which one?
One.
Oh, one. The first one. Did you play a lot of it?
Yeah, I think I finished it.
Right. You might be able to help then, because I've not played any Kingdom Hearts games before. There are, I believe, about 13 games, maybe. Something crazy like that. But they're all like either on handheld devices or like Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or some shit like that. Just like weird numbering structures. Like they're trying to outdo Final Fantasy at this stage, I feel like in the naming convention.
Yeah.
So obviously the game got a very limited review release, but it reviewed quite highly. I think at this stage it's around close to 90%, 88, around that mark. So I was interested in checking it out, having not played any of them before, and I have no fucking clue what is going on in this story. It is a sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. But it seems like it's taking all the stuff from those 13 other games as well and like continuing that story. Now, Kingdom Hearts 2 was released like 15 years ago, and I guess that's like my main issue with the storytelling of the game, is it just does not do a good job of explaining sort of what is happening or what is going on for new people or people that are coming in. It's kind of like, I don't know, like telling, like, media, like entertainment should be enjoyable, I feel like, for most people, and people that are coming into something, maybe even like a TV show or a movie, like a film, like the Avengers series, or like the stuff that Marvel does. Like, you can still enjoy those films without having seen the other films. Like, they pay homage and stuff like that to bits and pieces and things that happen in previous things in the series, but I still like it. They're still enjoyable films. You can watch them and sort of understand what is going on if you haven't seen some of the other stuff that's happening. And I just don't feel like that is happening at all in Kingdom Hearts for the story. There is a cutscene at the very start that is like a recap of things that have happened previously in the series, but there's no sound. It's like there's a song playing over the top of it. And I've read people's reactions to this on the internet being like, oh my god, that is, like, it was the greatest opening to like a video game ever. I was crying and all this stuff. Brings back so many memories. And I'm like, this song goes for ages. It's fucking long. And I'm like, you know what would be great? If like they were explaining what was happening here. Instead, it's just no sound. It's just all these cutscenes. And
montage or something.
Yeah, this giant montage with this song playing.
Yep.
From what seems to be previous games in the series, I'm completely lost. And then like, it's like they're doing the reverse of Lord of the Rings, where the Lord of the Rings film just goes on forever. Like, it's got like 6 endings. This has like 6 beginnings, where there's like another cutscene that starts, and then there's like more music playing, and then it jumps to like like a fucking prequel or something. It's like Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or 2.9, I think it pops up on the screen. It wasn't until about 5 hours in the game that I see a Kingdom Hearts 3 logo start. And, but I've got no clue what is happening in the story at all. I'm going to read you some words that I've got here so people can kind of understand. Kingdom Hearts 3 tells the story of the power of friendship as Sora and his friends embark on a perilous adventure. Setting the vast array of Disney and Pixar worlds, Kingdom Hearts follows the journey of Sora, a young boy who is an unknowing heir to a spectacular power. Sora is joined by Donald Duck and Goofy to stop an evil force known as the Heartless from invading and overtaking the universe. Through the power of friendship, Sora, Donald, and Goofy unite with iconic Disney Pixar characters, old and new, to overcome tremendous challenges and persevere against the darkness threatening their worlds. That's a good. I think that's a good description of what's going on.
Oh, totally.
But the details, like the characters and sort of what how this world works and what has happened in the past, like I just don't know what is going on at all. Like there are just characters that look the same. With
I have
the
a
same
question
color
for you.
Fucking hair.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you big into Disney?
I like Disney stuff. Yeah.
I'm like, Disney, yeah, most they do cool stuff. My question is, isn't Donald Duck supposed to be a bit of a cunt? Right?
He is in this, yeah.
But he's always just this shitbag character. Like, why is he a hero? He's just sort of a prick. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be friends with Donald Duck. Does anyone want to be friends with Donald Duck? Fuck Donald Duck.
Right.
Anyway.
So in saying that, I have no clue what is happening in the overarching story. I still like the character development and the story that's happening in the game. So you start off and you start exploring Disney worlds as this Final Fantasy looking motherfucker, played by the kid from The Sixth Sense, like that stuff is done really well. Like I feel like the acting is really good, the voice acting is awesome. Like when you meet all these characters that come along, whether they're like cameo 10-second appearances or you spend time with these characters for 4 or 5 hours, like that stuff is really cool. And that's kind of where the charm of this game really kicks in, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. But it's pretty much like an action RPG where you're controlling the one character, but you're in a party, in a group, and in this case, as I said, Donald and Goofy are the other two characters, and it can get up to, from what I understand, or from what I've seen, up to 5 characters in your party, as you start interacting with other Disney or Pixar characters in the world. They kind of join along for the ride. It starts off really basic in terms of the combat. You've got an attack button, you've got a jump button, a dodge, and you're moving around in a 3D space. That's kind of where it starts. Super basic. You're mashing on stuff, and from that it starts to evolve a little bit. All right, now you've got magic, and it's similar to like a Final Fantasy using your magic. You've got magic points, MP. You cast fire, ice, water.
How did
thunder.
you lose all your skills between 2 and 3?
I think he's lost his memory.
Again? Isn't that what happened between 1 and 2?
Joab, I don't fucking know what's happening in the story, but I think I've read somewhere he lost his memory. I watched like a 20-minute video before I started playing the game. I think he lost his memory somewhere. I don't know if it was between 2 and 3, or it was between 2 and 12, like where it kind of happened, but he lost his memory, alright? And he lost his powers or something, and he's trying to fight people. Heartless. The Heartless? Yep. That's what it says in my notes. So yeah, he's
how did he lose his memory?
I don't know. Maybe he fell asleep and woke up on a train to Wollongong or something.
Yep. Okay.
I don't know. Because it's fucking convoluted as shit. Yeah. So, that's where the combat starts. Really basic X, and then it's like magic powers, and then it starts throwing in like these, like abilities and chaining combos with the other characters in your team. Building up focus and then using that focus meter to do even bigger abilities, using potions to heal yourself or cast magic spells, and then it starts throwing more RPG mechanics in there. You're controlling things like your weapon types, your armor, trinkets.
What weapon types? Doesn't he hold a big key sword?
Yeah, he holds a big key, and there are different like types of keys that you can get.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that.
And they've got different stats on them. This one has 6 strength and 4 magic, but it also does 20% more fire damage. Like you start leveling up these keys as the game progresses, and your characters like Donald and Goofy, you can get them new weapons and items and abilities and whatnot. And so you're leveling up as the game goes, as you're killing these heartless creatures or villains, you're earning experience points. You level up, and as you level up, you start getting more abilities, and each ability costs like a certain amount of points, and you've only got a certain amount of points that you can use in your ability pool, and so you're sort of micromanaging, like, oh, I want to pick this ability, and for Goofy, I want him to do sort of these things here, and we'll see how that sort of mixes in. So it really starts to snowball. It's really basic to start with, and then it just gets really, like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, you can kind of play it, if you want to just fucking do a lot of magic damage, you can sit there and do magic, whereas I'm playing it more just like hitting stuff, and occasionally I'll throw magic damage out if they're a certain like enemy type, and then you can like combo your abilities with the other characters in the game, and they'll do these, like, it'll be like a mini cutscene. Like, they'll jump into, for instance, a pirate ship, and you're in a fucking pirate ship all of a sudden, and you're moving around the world and doing damage to other characters, or there's like you jump in these teacups. They're basically ride attractions from Disney, and so you're in like a teacup and you're spinning around, and you can run into other enemies, and then at the end you do like a big like attack that hits everyone. Sometimes like there's like these weird mini games that'll pop up. You'll have fucking like dual blasters, and you can sit there and just shoot people, and then they'll fly into the air, and if you keep shooting them, you do more damage and you get more points. So
what are the points for?
What are the points for?
Oh.
For nothing.
Oh.
I don't fucking know, Joab. You get points for shooting these things.
Oh.
They're like mini games. I don't know. You're getting points,
Is
then eventually.
there a Tower of Terror one?
Not that I've seen yet. I've seen like 4 different types of these things that happen.
Is there a Space
also,
Mountain one?
I don't know. Maybe there's a I don't want to talk about characters you meet.
Is there a log ride one?
I haven't seen that. I've seen
How
a
would
pirate
that
ship.
work? How would a log ride one work though? What do you reckon?
No, wait. So it's not a log ride. You know the you know those circle things. You know the thing they closed down at Gold
Gravitron.
Coast? No. You know the Gold Coast.
Yeah, the Gravitron.
You sit in like the River Wild.
Oh, that one. Yeah, right.
You sit in the circle, and it kind of spins you around in the water.
Dreamworld. Yeah,
Dreamworld. I don't know what it's called in the actual game, but River Wild Rapids, whatever.
Yeah, River
that's
Rapids.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen about 4 or 5.
Cool.
But anyway, also the characters that you meet in the world have like their own unique abilities, and they'll go and do like a little animation thing as well. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it definitely gets like more hectic as the game goes on. At its core, it's still very basic. You just press an X on things.
Yep.
And you're chaining combos.
Yep.
And you're now level 14, and you can add one more hit to your combo, or you can add like another combo to your air attacks. Like, there's a lot of juggling, being able to sit in the air and just hit things constantly over and over without really losing any, like, going back to the ground. There's like no gravity. You sort of jump between things, and then sometimes
like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, sure,
but
yeah,
simpler.
But a lot simpler.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as like the Devil May Cry is like, oh, you use these types of attacks and you press these combos, or like Bayonetta as well. Like, these are the button presses that you do this specific move. This is more like just hit X on things. Eventually, you'll build your focus meter up, and then you can do these big, like, ridiculous, like, summons, and yeah, and that's basically the combat. I'm enjoying it. Like, it's very basic, but when it's all happening, like, it looks pretty. There's things going on all the time.
It was
like,
signs for this game were plastered fucking everywhere in Tokyo. I'm talking. There was one sign that was like 3 fucking buses long, draped over the side of a department store, like
right.
everywhere. It was the fucking biggest shit they had going.
Well, it's
Resident
a
Evil
Japanese
2,
game, right?
But Resident Evil 2 came out the same day, and like, not even close. Not even close to the same shit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a weeb now that you've played it, or were you always a weeb and this has just reminded you?
This is my coming out.
It's your awakening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think it's more for weebs or for Disweebs? Disneebs?
There's definitely like a lot of... Yeah, man. I feel like you need to like Disney to like this, because a lot of it is going into these worlds and interacting with these characters. Like, I don't feel like the story seems alright from what I've been playing so far. Like, meeting people and trying to understand what's going on, like all these characters that sort of pop in and out, and spending like hours with them as it goes along is really cool. And there seems to be like, there's a lot of content there. There is so, like, I've just talked about the combat and sort of how that goes, and it seems like every 2 levels it's sort of introducing me to another mechanic that comes into the game. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk about a lot of that stuff because I feel like it's a spoiler. Like, when some of this stuff comes up, I'm like, oh shit, that's pretty cool, that character's in here. I didn't know that was going to happen. But yeah, I was playing, I'm like 11 hours in, and a character showed up as an ability last night. I'm like, alright, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how that kind of works. And again, it's like a mini, like, to pull off the damage on this character, it's like a mini game. You have to do it a certain way, and eventually, if you do it the correct way, then you get all the damage and whatnot. And it's sort of like learning how to play these little mini games as they go along. You don't have to do it. Like, it's a summon, or you can kind of just let the timer tick down. Like, I don't want to team up with Goofy and do his fucking stupid launch me into the air and then throw me onto people, or throw himself onto people. Like, I'll just let it tick down. You don't need to do that. So you can kind of choose, and also you can skip the cutscene, like the mini cutscene, and go straight to the good shit. Like, all right, but again, the mini cutscene is like 3 or 4 seconds long. It's not huge, and it's in the game. It doesn't detract from the experience. It doesn't like cut out and then go into a different camera angle or anything like that. It's very seamless. So yeah, all that stuff's really good. The art style is fantastic. The worlds that it kind of puts you into, at times it's like watching a Pixar film. Like, you're with these characters and it looks like you're watching a movie. It's the same sort of experience like that you got when you played South Park, The Stick of Truth, or The Fractured But Whole. Like, it seems like you're playing a fucking TV show, whereas when you play Kingdom Hearts, it's like you're in this world and you're running around with these characters, and yeah, it looks awesome. Like, the art style that they've gone for is amazing, and the animations as well. I feel like I haven't looked into this yet because I've been so busy. Like, Kingdom Hearts is just, I think, when did it come out? Tuesday. What's today? Thursday. I got a copy, a review code on Tuesday, and it's sort of been like I've been playing it on my off time, but I haven't looked into it. It seems to be running at 60 or something pretty high to 60. There's 2 modes on that you can choose from. It's like default, and then like smooth or something like that. And I think I don't know how that changes like the frame rate, but it's running really slick, and you can see it in the animations, on the way, like, the finite details, the way characters move, and like it feels like you're watching a Pixar film. So
right.
that stuff's really impressive.
Cool.
And at times it's hard to tell whether or not, like, is this like an actual cinematic, or am I in game right now? Because sometimes it does go to a cinematic, and it can be at points I'm like, is this actually a cinematic or is it an in-game cutscene? And then it'll cut and you're actually in game. So that stuff is really impressive. So what else is there? Yeah, just talking about like the depth of it. There is like a mini game of going from world to world. It starts off in like this spaceship, and you are flying throughout this 3D space. You can do like little puzzles that are within the world. You can fight enemies in the spaceship. You can upgrade your spaceship. You can make new spaceships, and they're pretty much Lego blocks, they look like. So you can build them that way, get new parts, put new weapons on there, make them quicker. And it's got like a little graph that shows you like, oh, this is how much health they've got, this is how much damage, speed, and like this is kind of the direction you're leading in. And then I haven't tinkered around too much with that because I'd rather just go explore these worlds. But
because who wants to build their own spaceship and fly it?
Yeah. No, but you kind of acquire blueprints.
Sounds dull. I hate flying in games. Oh, it does nothing new. It's like
No, well,
2019.
it sounds like the same sort of stuff as that in Starlink.
Right.
Same game, basically the same game.
Yep.
They've ripped it off Starlink. So no, I've only got 2 blueprints at the moment, and so I feel like once I get a couple more and sort of understand the benefits of changing spaceships, because at the moment my new ship I'm using just has a shitload of guns, so I'm just shooting stuff. But there's like smaller ships you can get, so I don't really know how that affects that part of the gameplay.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that entire side of it of like exploring different worlds. Each world has like a recommended level that you should be, and then you jump in there and you can go out and explore the area, talk to other characters. There are like hidden items within the world, chests where you'll get either new weapons, crafting materials, things like that. There are photo challenges, photographing either like there's riddles that the game will tell you to go and find, and you can try and figure out like what the riddle is and take a photo of it. Sometimes there are hidden like Disney logos, not Disney logos, like I guess it's a Disney logo.
Mickey Mouse ears.
Mickey Mouse ears hidden throughout the environment you have to go and find.
Sure.
There's things like that, and that kind of gives you more items in the game. There's just like a lot that is going on, surprisingly, for what I thought was just going to be a very basic like RPG. But it's, yeah, man, it seems like it's definitely a game they've been working on for a long time, and they've thought about it and put all these different types of mechanics in it. I don't know if it plays the same way as the other games or if like they've really evolved it, but I'm quite impressed by how much is in there. But a lot of that is like the character building and exploring the worlds and talking to these characters, and like the relationship with the main character Sora and Donald Duck and Goofy. Like Donald Duck has some hilarious lines sometimes. Goofy's just kind of there to like exposition a lot of it,
right?
Whereas Donald Duck is the one making all the jokes. There's crafting like recipes to prepare for battles with certain characters. That has mini games in it to craft items. I don't know what else to talk about with this game. It's definitely more than what I expected, and I was ready to not like it. I don't think it's like the greatest game ever made, but I'm definitely enjoying it and having fun with it. I think there's definitely ways that could be improved, in particular storytelling and the way that is all delivered. The save point system is old and should not be around anymore, and every time I play a fucking Japanese game and they just do not progress to understanding that people have time commitments, and I can't sit there and save your game whenever you want me to save it. Like, oh, here's a checkpoint, now I can save the game. There was one instance where I was playing the other night, and it was an hour and 20 minutes between save points. I didn't have to go and do anything, but I was just like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, in what, like, and it's the same complaint I had in Monster Hunter, where you could only save it in the main world. You couldn't, like, if you were on a quest, you couldn't save the game. Like, and some of those quests could go for a long time. And I don't understand why well, specifically Japanese games seem to be the only ones that do it, why they're still in that mindset of it's like this, like they want it to be like a hardcore experience, like, oh, that's the last save point you can get to, like, whatever. But at the same time, if you die in the game, it just puts you back to like a checkpoint, like this is the last point that you hit, so it doesn't take you back to the save point, just like the last moment. So why not just let me save it wherever I want?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me, and it's an old way of thinking.
Or just like make it so that you can't save in combat, but you can save where the fuck else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, I'm not exaggerating. Most of the time, it's about half an hour, 40 minutes between save points. But this one was an hour and 20 minutes, quite early on in the game. And this is between like going from one world to another and having like 2 boss fights in between, and then being taught how to use the flying system. I think that's particularly where it was, like the new, like going from one world to the other, and then me being like, I'm going to explore this system a little bit and blah blah blah, and so off you go. That might have been that area, but anyway, I just don't understand this this like outdated thinking of how to save games. It's dumb. It needs to disappear. Whatever. It's stupid.
Cool.
My other criticism with it is you can't change the controller layout. It's Japanese controls, so again, jump is circle, X is attack, square is dodge. I'm used to it now. Took me a good 30 minutes to get a hold of it.
Right.
During fighting, I was, why the fuck am I not attacking this thing? Oh, it's because I'm pressing dodge all the time.
Right.
On this thing. There is an alternate control layout, but that is just trigger buttons. It flips the trigger buttons. So that's
Pointless.
maybe it is in there, but what I've looked at for the controller layouts, alternate control schemes, it doesn't change it. So I'm used to it by now, but I would like them to have a different, what we use over here. So the Western control screen. What do they call it? I don't even know. There used to be like A, B, and C controls like back in the day, right? And now this game's only got A and B, and all that does is flip the triggers.
Yep.
Which is weird. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm digging it. Like,
You're about it? Should I get it?
I don't know. You should ask them if you should get it. You just hit them up. Did you like the first game?
It's entertaining enough. I actually didn't get the second one because I found the fandom for the game to be so excruciatingly dorky that I'm like, nah, I don't want to. Like, what if it's the game itself? What if it's like some sort of fucking disease and it'll seep into me and suddenly I'll be a huge fucking dork as well. Desperately trying to play all 15 fucking Kingdom Hearts games and wanking on about how Sora beat Mickey in a fight or some lunacy.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's a lot of that. A lot of it is the nostalgia and being with these characters.
I like Disney characters except for Donald Duck, who's a fuck.
All the time.
Yeah, I know, but I got over it in the first one. It was an entertaining enough game. The first one, like, had quite a bit of depth to it.
Does it sound like the same combat system of you just basically press one button to hit things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually found that to be pretty dull by the end. Although I do remember it getting pretty hairy at times.
It gets hard. Like, having to manage like different enemies that are coming at you, different sizes. Like, what spell should I be using? Am I using the right key blade? They call them key blades. I don't even know what they're called anymore. I think maybe you said keyblade before.
Yeah, they were called keyblades back then.
So from what I've read is they've changed it so you can quickly trigger between keyblades on the fly.
Oh, okay.
I think you just press like right on the D-pad and it switches between them.
Okay.
And then you can choose between three different attacking keyblades to alternate between.
Cool.
So that's pretty quick. And then you've got your abilities. So I've got like fire, water, thunder, ice, whatever, and then you can map a second. I think there's 3 mappings you can do.
Sure.
And like a second one where I've got my potions and cures and things like that.
Cool.
So yeah, it's, I don't know, like I said, combat starts off very basic. It definitely gets a little harder as things go on, but at the end of the day, you're still hitting X. You're just mashing on stuff, and a lot of it is like the story of these characters. I don't know like how it's going to end up. I'm definitely going to keep playing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it gets more difficult if they start introducing more mechanics, or if I've sort of hit the mark of, all right, now we're just going to start teaching you like different, or going into different worlds and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah. But the worlds are cool. Like interacting, looks slick. I'm digging it.
Cool.
But I'd need to play more to give my final verdict.
Yeah, I don't.
It is a 10 because I've seen sites giving it 10s.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right time for me to get into a giant RPG. Yeah, 30.
I think it's about 30 to 35 hours.
Really? Oh. That's shorter than I expected.
Well, from, I guess, main campaign.
Right.
There's obviously like finding all the Mickey Mouse icons and doing all the photographs.
Disney garbage.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're enjoying yourself. All right, Rage 2.
Yeah. Rage 2. So we got a chance to play a bit of Rage. The last time I saw it, well, the first time I saw it, I was in Sweden for the reveal event. And since then, I've played it a couple of times at various places. QuakeCon, once or twice. I think I've played it at like a couple exhibits, like PAX or something like that as well. It's always been like the same sort of level. The Eden Space Center, where you start off in an outside area and you kind of go inside, very corridor driven.
Yep.
And it was basically teaching you the shooting mechanics and your abilities and combining all that stuff to eventually get a combo up and causing a lot of mayhem and whatnot. So very short 15-20 minute demo. Enjoyed what I saw from that. And this is kind of the first time that we've seen Avalanche Studios open worldness brought into Rage 2, because they've teamed up with id Software, and id Software have said we'll help you out with the shooting, and you guys bring your like your character driven open world design and mash them together. So Avalanche has done games like Just Cause, the Just Cause series, Mad Max, The Hunter, which is a first person game that's a hunting simulator.
Yep.
I think that's it off the top of my head.
Roughly. They've got that Generation Zero coming out, right?
Yeah, that's very soon.
Yep.
But I don't know who's making that one.
It's Avalanche.
Yeah, but which Avalanche?
Right. My guess is the core.
Could be the Hunter crew.
I think it's the core team.
Maybe.
I think. Because they certainly weren't working on Just Cause 4, were they? Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, well, Just Cause 4 was New York.
Right. It was a
new studio.
It was a map mod for Just Cause 3 with some tornadoes.
Right. So Rage 2, what we saw was another mission, but we got to, I guess, ride around in the open world for a little bit. It wasn't a long demo. I think it was like 90 minutes all up, about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And yeah, I came away with that with cooling off a little bit from the last time that I've played it, at least. Getting to experience sort of what is in the world and what's going on.
Yeah.
But how'd you, like...
It was the first time I played it.
Yeah, what were your thoughts?
First time I played it, and they told us that they were optimizing the keyboard controls. They have to optimize the keyboard. Oh man, I found it fucking just a dog trying to control that game with a keyboard and mouse. The basics were fine. WASD and the mouse shooting were fine. Actually, I think as a shooter, it's pretty satisfying. It's got a good feel to it, and I think they've done a good job with that combat. Trying to do these fucking abilities, man. Oh my god, it was just, ugh. I did not enjoy it. Like, I did not enjoy the weird button combos you had to press to get anything to fucking work, and
we couldn't remount the controls.
No, and yeah, so it just felt like a waste of effort to try to use those abilities most of the time when I could mostly just shotgun something in the face instead. Like,
yeah,
may as well just fucking use the shotgun. Sometimes maybe I'd punch the fucking pushback just to give myself a little breathing room, but yeah, it just didn't feel like it was a good use of my effort to try to combo that shit together when shit had died to a shotgun anyway. So yeah, there was that. So I think my view was tainted by that particular situation. You know, like that in particular didn't have me on side from the get-go. And so I think it was starting from it had an uphill climb right away. But I think it did a pretty good job. I didn't like the driving either. If we're going to go with the Luke route of listing all the things we didn't like first about something. Yeah, I didn't like the driving that much either. It felt really sluggish. Didn't feel like I want to. It's a massive world, but I feel like I'm driving through fucking treacle or something. Like it's just, you know, turns take ages to take effect, and then by the time you've done it, you've oversteered and you're off course again and stuff like that. Like jumps, anything you hit like that isn't the road feels like it slows you down or fucking crawl while you bounce all over. Yeah, bounce all over the place or bounce backwards off it. Yeah, that kind of stuff I wasn't a fan of at all. And one of the missions, you have to be like go on
Monster Bash.
Rage TV, yeah, Monster Bash. And it was basically a series of arenas.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't find that to be terribly interesting, but I do wonder if that is because I wasn't able to use all of the abilities.
Right.
I wonder if it would have been more interesting if I was racking up these huge combos and putting together this epic sequence of events as opposed to running forward and shooting things with a shotgun constantly. And the main hassle being working out exactly where the enemies were spawning from this time. Yeah.
So I think because I've played it mouse and keyboard and also controller.
Yeah.
I think in Sweden I tried it with both. Back then they were saying the game wasn't optimized with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
And I think at QuakeCon I played it with. They were saying the same thing, but I played it with mouse and keyboard a couple. So I played it with both, and I didn't have any issues while we were at the event getting all the like abilities going and like using the dodge and the double jump and that sort of thing. Like I felt like my fingers were. I understood how to like chain all those abilities together. Like because I've played it before for half an hour to an hour, and I've been to these events where I've had developers show you like, oh, this is how you can use your abilities and chain them together and whatnot. So for me, I didn't have any of those problems. And I think also by playing it on a controller as well and knowing like how some of this stuff already worked, all I needed to do was sort of be like, all right, well, in order to open that menu, I just need to press this button on the keyboard and it'll do the same thing. So I think our experiences would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
That part.
I also sort of imagine that the game will sort of breadcrumb you through that shit as well. I don't think it'll start you off with all the abilities or whatever, you know.
That's the other thing is that the demo that I played 4 or 5 times already had a tutorial in it on how to use those abilities, what buttons to press, and it went for a couple of minutes, which you could skip, but at least it showed you like this is how you dash, this is how you double dash, this is how you use this ability to do this thing. So yeah, you kind of missing that part, which was not in the demo that we played at all. It was just kind of dropped you and it was like, go.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it didn't. I think if I had been breadcrumb through that stuff, I might be more incentivized to use it because I might have seen the usefulness of it. But having not, it just seemed like a clunky way to maybe buy myself a couple of seconds when. I could just shotgun shit in the face.
Because I like doing like you jump up in the air and you slam the ground, like you ground and pound. I was doing that all the time. Yeah. Bringing up like you throwing your orb, so it like pulls everybody with like the gravity, anti-gravity stuff. So yeah, I think that's probably a mistake they made with that demo is by not teaching people that tutorial, which maybe they should have chucked in there. But I agree with you that I also did not like the driving.
Yeah.
There's something about it, like it just feels
swishy or something, right? Like
I can't remember what I wrote in my preview. Like it's very floaty.
Yeah.
Like you'll hit walls and just bounce off them.
Yeah.
There was moments where I'd turn a corner and like you said, you sort of oversteer and I just like the car would just fucking flip and I'm rolling down a hill all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or just weird things like that. It just there was a race at one point.
Yeah.
That was really weird to maneuver. It just didn't feel like the driving you sort of expect from.
I don't think a race was a good way to fucking demo that shit either, by the way, because I mean, apart from having just terrible rubber band AI, It's catch up AI. Um, yeah, it was like I couldn't. There were a couple. There was one specific corner where I couldn't fucking get my car to turn hard enough left to actually make it around the corner. And then it turned out both times I got to that corner, it didn't matter because I just drive into the wall and then the car would turn itself and I'd go, I'm like, fucking hell, are you serious? Like, ugh. Why would I be checking this out? But yeah, like ignoring those two things that I didn't like. I actually liked a lot of it. I mean, I think some of like there's a bit of an oddity in that in the way some of the interactions with the world work. Like staying in an elevator for fucking ages is like while someone yaps at you is not a terribly engaging way to experience shit. But outside of that, like there's like shitloads of like voiced characters who have information to tell you about stuff to go see out in the world, and it seems like there's a lot to do out in the world, and a lot of opportunities for you to explore that combat and the full range of the combat if it gets to the point where it's fun to be in that combat, of course. So yeah, there's that. The main arc of the the mission we were playing was I thought it was pretty good. Like interesting characters and like I thought the boss fight was a bit basic. It reminded me of Killer Croc from Arkham Asylum. Hopefully you don't have to fight him over and over again. But yeah, like apart from that, like it just the graphics are gorgeous. It's weird that it would be as seamless as it is because there's so much attention to detail all throughout, like the various parts of the world that you visit. And there's no loading screens between going there and going out into the open world. I think that's fucking awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if the humor didn't really gel with some people. I liked it, but I could imagine. I've just finished rewatching all of Archer, and it reminded me a lot of Archer's, like the sense of humor in Archer. And I can imagine people who didn't like Archer not loving the humor in Rage. But if you liked Archer, I imagine the flip side, that it will work for you. That you will enjoy it. But yeah, I generally liked it. I think I said, the guns are good. The guns feel good to use, and I use the shotgun a lot, but that's just because I like to get in close and like shoot things. There's a lot of like little puzzle solving around the place. Like you're like really not super complicated, but those arc things that you were trying to puzzle your way into were interesting to try and like. Yeah, how the fuck do I get in here? I thought they were a cool addition, a cool way to, engage you outside of the main story. It's a bit of organic puzzle solving, which was cool. I only went to one of them, but apparently there was a super hard one further north that I'd be really interested to check out. The arc system in particular seems like an interesting way to. Sort of reminds me of those mini dungeon type things in Horizon Zero Dawn. You come across a sort of space that you had to sort of dig your way through,
like an underground.
Yeah. And you'd have to puzzle your way through. Yeah.
So I think that was the problem for me, is because it was such a short demo.
Yeah.
The things that I saw in and like they were telling us to go do the main story mission, like.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get to see a lot of the open world, but the stuff that I saw in the open world felt pretty generic. Like, it's this stuff that we've seen before. Like, I came across a bandit den that was like an old petrol station that they'd taken over.
Yeah,
and it was like, clear out the bandit den, and then so I did that, and then a convoy came past, and it was like, all right, now attack the convoy. There was also like like I had to go find a ranger. He was in a general area, and you had to go look for him. So I found that had to figure out like kind of what happened to them. And then there was this weird mechanical device that was in the ground that was shooting at me and it wanted me to destroy that. So yeah, like again, like I just didn't see much that like I haven't seen elsewhere in like just go kill these things or blow this thing up or go find this thing. Like, all right, cool, pretty simple. I'm hoping that like there's more out there, more interesting side missions.
You didn't get to any of the arc things?
No, I didn't. By the time I did those like 4 or 5
I had
things,
to deliberately ignore that stuff that you're talking about to go check them out. But
I've seen them. I've seen bits of it before in I haven't played it, but I've seen bits and other things that like I could talk about it. I think so yeah, I mean the world looks huge. There's a lot of stuff going on. I just don't know if it's going to change up much.
If it's on PC and it's got modding, I guarantee you we wind up with a Doom 3 flashlight situation where someone's modded the driving inside of a day. Because it is not good the way it is.
Well, I mean, they've still got 6 months left. 5 months.
True. I just really didn't like the driving. Yeah. And it seems like a pretty critical element. Part. Yeah,
and I like the first preview, the reveal event, they were talking about how they wanted to make a big part of it car combat.
Oh,
and like different cars, and because you remember in Mad Max it was about like taking armor off of cars, and like shooting them like that. A big focus on the car stuff in Mad Max.
Yeah,
obviously because it's a Mad Max game.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they nail that, it'd be good. I think the world building, like you said, the look of it is fantastic. The characters have these, like, they're all exaggerated and like weird shapes and things like that. You've got the Clegg, was it Clegg? Can't remember his name. Klegg, I think it was.
Yeah.
This dude with this big bulky dude with like giant hair, and he's got like a Bluetooth headset in his ear, and he's wearing like a boxing championship belt across, like draped across his shoulder with boxing gloves. Just like really unique looking characters.
Yeah.
And then like the Monster Bash, it is Monster Bash, right? Monster Bash TV.
I don't know.
I do have it written down. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Right.
They're on my other.
It sounds right.
Screen. Yeah. Just like the look of that. These characters with giant face masks on, and everything is decked out in this like carnival looking style. Like it's got style to it. The game.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Rage, where everything was just brown.
Yeah.
And uninteresting and boring. And that was the thing that was wrong with Borderlands initially, is they went for like everything was brown, and it wasn't until they changed the art style of that game is where things started to click.
Yeah.
I think this is the right move for them. They've like it's still brown, but they've got some like it feels
punches
like
of color.
Yeah, they've got these purples and things blowing up and green, like bright yellows and the nanotrites are these like bright blue orbs that sort of burst out of people that you go and collect. Like it's got dabs of color that's going around now, and it makes it more visually interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like the street sign, like the turn here signs, like bright colors and neon lights in the main cities. So yeah, it's got that style going for it, which the other games didn't have, and it looks like it's got a unique and interesting world. And if they can get the humor on point, and the storytelling in particular, because of being a world where you can play it sort of any biome that you kind of want to go and explore, as long as the storytelling isn't disjointed and sort of fits with what they're trying to do, then I think that'll be good.
Yeah. But
yeah, they've got to really nail down the car stuff. I feel like that. Yeah. I came away from that preview being like I said, I was kind of cooled off.
Yeah.
Because I was so high on this game from playing it so many times that I thought the combat, really enjoyed the shooting of it, considering it's their first fucking action shooter. Like it feels
First
fast paced.
person as well.
Yeah, first person action shooter.
Yeah.
Like it feels fast paced. They've got all these cool abilities that have short cooldowns. You once you kill people, they give you health and ammo. Like it's forcing you to move forward and
Yep.
engage with these guys really quickly, and that's good. So I think if they can nail the car stuff and have an interesting world with like unique gameplay elements,
Yep.
and it's not just go and clear a bandit den or go and do this race, then that'd be cool. I think the problem is that like we've been spoiled again by Red Dead of having they've taken the formula of making open world games and just being just generic bullshit, even though a lot of it is go fetch this thing or killing it. The story elevated it really highly.
Yeah.
As well. Like
Yep.
there's still your odd go kill this thing or whatever, but they're throwing different mechanics in there, and the story really takes that to another level.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's just gonna be hard for open world games from here on out to
Yeah, it is.
to sort of hit that peak again.
Yep.
I still liked what I saw from Rage 2, but yeah, I've definitely come down a little bit, being like, all right, got to set my expectations a bit lower or more realistically, as opposed to me going out being like, fucking hell, this looks sick. Because that's like the point they've been hitting since those reveal trailers. That reveal trailer really got people amped.
Yeah.
And then from being able to play it a bunch of times the last couple of months, being like, yeah, it's solid. I think it's really good. Whereas getting to this point and being like, oh, the driving seems a little bit off, but I'm sure like they'll get there eventually. Whether that means they've got a, I don't know how old the build was we were playing.
Yeah.
We're in January. I'm sure like developers took time off over Christmas. It's probably an older build. I didn't ask, but I'm guessing it's probably an older build. Could be a couple months old. So yeah, could be like we're seeing a build that was, from here and released 6 months, 7 months back. So
Yeah.
see what happens. But otherwise, man, looks promising.
Yep.
It's really good. More promising than what the original Rage did.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Is there anything else to talk about with that?
I don't think so. I don't
No.
think so.
Just let me scrub through. Well, no, it's not working. I got my preview up quickly, but the site. Oh wait, no. Nah, it's died. Anyway,
Go.
Rage 2. There you go. I'm sure that's not the last we'll hear about it.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've been a lot more critical on my previews this year than what I have been in the past.
Cool.
I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think it's a bad thing. No.
No, I've gotten sick of writing fucking positive previews all the time.
Yeah.
Throw some criticism in there every once in a while.
It's a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, should we do some news?
Let's do it.
We've got I don't have it up, but esports news. Got some esports related stuff. I don't know if you managed to catch any of this while you're away, or get a wrap up of what kind of happened. But the Australian Open held a Fortnite competition.
Yep.
Which is a pretty big deal because they had a lot of money on the line at this competition. $500,000.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
is probably one of the biggest prize pools we've seen in Australian esports. They had 2 competitions going. There was a competitive match and a pro AM celebrity charity match, which was basically streamers or influencers, content creators, journalists, musicians, sports personalities, TV personalities, and then kind of teaming them up with like sometimes pro players or a mix of either of those things we just talked about. So I might talk about the pro AM match first. That was really fun to watch. They had a problem in the first match where I think like 30 people didn't get in to the initial game, which is a bit disappointing. But I think they ended up adding an extra game at the end.
Right.
Judging by the stream, because at one point the cast was like, and we're done for today, see you later. And then like 5 minutes later they came back and like, we're having another game.
Oh.
So
Good.
but that was
Good.
cool to watch. A lot of kids at this event, tons of kids. I would say the majority of people that were watching, other than parents, were kids. A lot of people screaming for their favorite content creators.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that they're able to experience that. But yeah, very wildly different crowd that we normally see in. I don't know. I shouldn't call it esports, should I? Am I being a jerk by saying we shouldn't call it esports?
I don't think so. It was a pro-am event, so that the esports is about the professional, like focused.
Yeah. Fortnite competition. Yeah, a lot of people there. It seemed like they had a couple thousand.
Yeah.
There was easily, I think when I was watching, 20, 30,000 people watching on Twitch. So that was a lot of fun. And people were just kind of having a good time with it. Not a lot of, like, obviously there were people there taking it seriously, but there were also people that just hamming it up.
Yeah.
Which is good. So that was fun. The competitive match as well was on, I think that was before the Pro-Am match. But the actual layout of the whole thing was really good. They had everybody sitting on Margaret Court, so one of the tennis courts, and they had a casting desk set up in the middle.
Yep.
So everybody could kind of walk around that was in the event. From what I understand, they were all running on PCs, but people could use controllers as well. The people that qualified on the on Xboxes or controller support. And this was basically an event where I think you had to qualify online, and then you would get an invitation to the main stage, and you would play a bunch of rounds. I think it was best of 5, something like that.
Right.
And you would get points based off of your placement, and then you would get points based off of kills as well. And they were using the similar rules to what they use globally in Fortnite competitions, pretty much the same. So yeah, they were really good matches to watch. I watched, I think, most of them.
Yeah.
At least not all of them. And the presentation was good, casting was good. They got a lot of international people out to cast this stuff. A lot of big teams were involved from around Australia that had their players in the event, so it wasn't just like random people online. The people that qualified for this thing were good players.
Yep.
Which is good. I mean, this is the way that I kind of want to see Fortnite evolve as an esport, as opposed to the Pro-Am stuff. I think we've talked about it in the past.
Yep.
It's good from a entertainment standpoint, but calling it an esport or a competitive match is not good, because I don't think that's what it is. But having actual, competitive players playing it is definitely a better experience, I think, at least, even though it is still Fortnite. So all that stuff was really good. My only negative about the way it was done was the point system. They favor heavily on standing, on
placement.
position, placement points, which is exactly the same problem that PUBG has had since its launch. And to put it in perspective, the guy that ended up winning the tournament, he won the first 3 rounds and got 1 kill across all 3 of those rounds.
How did he get 1 kill and 2 wins without any kills?
No, he got 3 wins.
Yeah, but he must have gotten 1 kill in one of them, right?
Yeah, and so what was happening was, because the point system is so heavily focused on standing, kills really didn't matter. So everybody was just hiding and building until the last circles. And I think I put a picture online of, like, there's one point where it's one of the last circles and there's like 40 people still remaining, and it's just a shot of just fucking boxes all over the place with name tags and people just building. Like, nobody was engaging unless they needed to. And so this guy, what they were doing was they get to the last circle where it just enclosed to the end of the game, and you just had to out heal the other person.
Yep.
And so you get to points where, all right, well, I'll drop down from this really high point and I'll shotgun the person on the way down, and hopefully they don't have any health left, so I'll win that round. And if they miss, they just hit the ground and die, and then so the person down the bottom that's healing through all this stuff. Yeah, so he was basically healing, and they would interview him and be like, well, this is the meta. Like, the tournament is about placement points, so I'm not going to change it up. Like, I'm not going to go for kills. I'm just going to survive in the blue zone. They're like, that's not his fault. He's playing the game that the tournament is designed to play. So,
yep, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds entertaining. Sounds, you were just saying how much you enjoyed watching it. Can't believe I missed it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they're short rounds as well. They're
Right.
not like giant rounds, but it's like it's still. I wasn't sitting there focused on it. It was on my other screen while I was playing other games. But yeah, it was cool just to sort of have it running, and seeing that go along a big competition.
So the 2-1 plays for the Renegades. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. The guy who came second is a chief, I think.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. They're signed to teams and stuff.
And I think one of the guys who won the celebrity game, is the brother of the guy that won the competitive match.
Oh, okay.
Didn't qualify for the competitive match.
Didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Was the qualification tough or something?
I don't know.
Because I actually thought I could probably beat 400 kids and qualify for the top 100.
You should see the way these guys build, man. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I clearly didn't think about how important building would be.
Yeah, it's like 100% of it.
Yeah, like actually 100% of winning. I saw because I got a press release, so I got some details. It's interesting to hear that Nick Kyrgios, Dave Hughes, and Peking Duck joined Laserbeam, Loserfruit, Lachlan, and Mr. Fresh Asian. It's interesting to hear that anyone joined Loserfruit in this competition because she was in Japan with me. So that was pretty.
She was there.
Epic.
She bailed during the midway through. They had a stand in for her.
She must have been there on the Saturday.
No, she was at the tournament for the celebrity game and bailed midway through. I think she bailed after the first game. They had someone stand in for her.
Well, because she was in Japan.
Yeah, she had to go get a flight.
At the same event that I was at.
Wrote that on Twitter. I saw it.
Right, it's gold.
Apparently, they started a couple hours late. So maybe.
Okay. Maybe she's supposed to have enough time. Yeah. I just thought that was amusing in the press release. I full blown. If I hadn't been in Tokyo, and if I had been at this covering it as esports journalist of the year, as the undisputed, reigning, defending esports journalist of the year, then I would have entered. I would have backed myself to at least make top 100. I reckon. And top 100 gets $1,000. So did you see that shit? Like the top 90 players got $1,000. That's pretty epic. That's pretty fantastic. But yes, to hear that it basically to hear that he won 3 games and didn't kill anyone in 2 of them is woof.
And he won the last one. He killed the last. I don't think he killed the last guy on the other match either.
God.
Like he just killed a guy collaterally.
Yeah. No. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that at all. I know obviously we are huge snobs about this fucking game. I know that. But regardless, there is no fucking way anyone could argue that would be entertaining. That would be inherently entertaining to watch. Like, goddamn. It's not even a shooter at that point. It's some sort of fucking weird building shit.
Game.
Yeah.
And so that brings me to our next story about PUBG. PUBG Corp have released their new esports rule set for 2019. This is at the end of last week.
Okay.
Literally like 2 days before this Fortnite competition.
Okay.
We've complained a lot about PUBG esports pretty much since the beginning. I've got an interview with PlayerUnknown talking about this, the way esports or point systems are handled, in particular in PUBG, in 2017 in October, when the game wasn't 1.0 released yet, but we've been playing it for a couple of months.
Yep.
The basic conversation was about how do you balance an esport in terms of having it be an interesting watching experience, but also like having a balance between survivability and kills and entertainment value.
Yeah.
And then so what we ended up seeing in PUBG competitive matches was teams not engaging with other teams and holding out in the blue zone.
Yep.
Or hiding in the water.
Rank tanking.
rank tanking, not getting kills, because kills were not worth it at all.
Yeah.
Back then, sorry, for the past 17, 16 months, the way that PUBG point systems has worked, basically been about, say as an estimate, 400 points for first place, 250 for second, and so on and so on. And then kill points would be about between 8 and 16 points. So you would get a squad wipe, and a squad wipe would be 32 points. Now you put that in perspective from there's 100 players on the field in the match, and you getting first place at 400 points, or going up and killing other teams and potentially getting 32 points. It's not worth it.
Yep.
And that's the way that PUBG is pretty much been for the last 16 months, and that's across your major competition hosts, so your ESL, those sorts of places, your GGL, really big competitions have adopted the same rule set. Every once in a while you get a funky competition that comes out and tries to change up things a little bit differently, tries to make kills worth a little bit more and whatnot. But I think you and I have been pretty adamant since day one of being like, they need a more focus on kills. This new rule set emphasizes that 110%. Placement points, I will read them out to you. Placement points for first is now worth 10 points. Second is 6th, and then it drops all the way down. Third is 5th. Fourth place is 4 points. Fifth is third. And then 9 to 16th in placement is 0 points. So you don't get any points for those placements. Kill points, and this is where it's important. Kill points are 1 point per kill now.
Oh, shit.
Massive.
Wow.
Yeah. So you basically do 2 squad wipes and you are better than second place.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's a massive change.
That is huge. I think that might be too much. I'll be honest. I think it might be.
We'll see. I mean, I guess they've taken feedback from teams.
A single squad wipe, like, you may as well just fucking hot drop. A single squad wipe is worth as much as coming fourth.
Yeah.
That's too much.
I think we're going to see some interesting games.
You're going to see fucking games where, like, it's going to be fucking 2 teams left in the last fucking 3 circles. Like, they've gone too far in the wrong direction. It's going to be all action for the first part. There's going to be no action in the mid, no action in the late mid, no action in the early end game, and then fucking it'll be the last 2 fucking teams finally find each other. Like, that's insane. You have literally no, if there are fucking, Jesus Christ, more than 4 teams left in the game, you have no reason not to push.
But you got to think about it as well, is that circle settings are completely different on casual mode. They're shorter circles but move slower, so you've got to be moving all the time as well. I haven't looked into the circle chain. Like, I've got it in front of me, but I can't tell you what the fucking different circles are.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't compared them to last year. One of the things I have noticed is they've toned down weapon distribution. I think at one stage they were running like double assault rifles, or like 2.5 assault rifles. That's been dropped back.
They got 3 times sniper rifles, 3 times DMRs.
Yeah, 1.6 for assault rifles now, but they're getting they lower a lot of the other things, like light machine guns and handguns and no crossbows and things like that. So they're trying to balance it out. I'm guessing they're testing, though they have tested this stuff. So the PUBG Corp esports rule set applies to all the major esports organizations. So you'll see this stuff on ESL. You'll see this stuff on the major PUBG competition. So
yeah,
I think we'll see how it plays out. We're definitely going to see more action now, less. And I think that was the problem, is that you were getting to the end of the games, in the end of the circles, and just like so many teams were left. And this will hopefully, make teams want to engage with other teams, like not just hiding all the time. How that affects, and then we'll see like the whole shit. What happens if the team coming first? What if all of a sudden you get people hot dropping on them? Fuck yeah, that's exciting to watch. I want to see that shit. I want to see teams hot dropping on teams that are coming first to try and wipe them out and kill them. Sounds cool.
I don't think you do. I think that's going to be odd. I think it's.
But then that forces teams as well to think up of like, don't drop at the same place all the time. Maybe we have to go somewhere else because another team's dropping us. Do we run? Like, do we fight them?
I'm trying to
I don't know when the next tournament is on, but
trying to find my points. Change the point system. Yep. So what was my suggestion? I suggested a linear point progression, which is not what they've gone with. So I had linear points, 20 per place, and kills were 15 apiece. So 3/4. A kill was worth 3/4 of a place, which means that 4 kills would still get you 4 places. 4 kills would get you 3 places, which meant that it was still better to get the squad wipe. You were still pursuing kills at the end of the day, but you were not pursuing kills at the cost of literally everything else, which I believe is what's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know. I think you're too incentivized. I actually got a lot of really good feedback about my points system. Clearly, PUBG weren't listening. Anyway.
It's because you're Australian.
That's it. They don't give a fuck.
I had to throw that in there as well.
I don't give a fuck. No, there's 6 regions. There's 6 regional pro leagues. There's North America, Europe, Korea, Japan, China, Taipei. There's fucking 4 regions in the space of fucking 10% of the world's fucking geographical space. That's lunacy. China, I definitely understand. I do not understand how there is not a fucking SEA region. Fuck. Oh, there is an SEA region. There's 4 fucking Southeast Asian fucking countries with their own fucking leagues, and there's a Southeast Asian pro circuit as well. Amazing. Jesus Christ. Fuck PUBG. Anyway, what's next?
All right. Next up, Metro Exodus pulled from Steam Store will be exclusive to Epic Games Store, as well as Dauntless is also the same dealio.
Yeah, people are raging out about this. I don't really see the problem, but I think we've talked a lot about how I don't care too much about having a couple of different stores. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't find it that big an inconvenience. Yeah. But people are losing their shit. I've seen people lose their shit.
Yeah, well, they're review bombing
the other metros. Yeah, I saw that.
Games. Yeah. Yeah, like, I feel like obviously the outrage from it is not great, but at the same time, I don't think it's a good move by the publisher. Like, allowing their customers to buy it from a store that they've used all this time. Like, it's this thing of, now I've got to fucking buy all my games on the fucking Epic store, and it's, there's no 2-factor authentication on that, as far as I know, because I've always had troubles with it. Well, maybe they did fix it, but like, just
they do. It's email.
Like
it's email to FA, but yeah.
Just going through this thing of like, all right, what games is my, like, which client do I need to fire up for my games now? I don't know. I'd rather just have the choice as a consumer to be like, I want to play it on this platform, or if I want to buy it on Green Man Gaming, or buy it on GOG. Like, fair enough. I don't think it's a good move for them to abandon Steam entirely, whether or not they're getting a better cut or not. Yeah, I think it's a bad move on their part.
Yeah,
I don't think it. But I don't agree with the outrage, like people flipping out and doing all that sort of shit. It's dumb.
I think Metro probably made a mistake by being the first ones to do this, because they'll cop most of the heat. And I think they're copying a lot of heat because they're moving from one thing to another. Dauntless has it a bit easier because they're always sort of on their own launcher, right? I think, pretty sure. So it's not that that big a deal for them, but you do have to migrate your account to the Epic Game Store apparently if you want it to work. So that's another thing, I guess. Yeah.
So the way it'll work is people that have already bought Metro Exodus on Steam will still be able to play it on Steam. They'll still get updates. They'll still be able to get the DLC and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, they just, like, I don't know if you can still buy it as of today.
I don't think
I know there was a point where it was still sellable and it was like one of the highest selling games on Steam. So at the end of the day, they fucking made money out of it anyway. But yeah, like, it's not like it's being removed entirely and the people that bought it are getting refunds or...
Yeah, right. I know that Humble Bundle, people who purchased it by the Humble Bundle are getting Steam keys. They're not getting Epic Games Store's keys or whatever the fuck.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what we get review keys on.
Yeah. I assume Epic. I assume. Oh, yeah. I'd be surprised any other way. There's still so much about Epic that Epic's Game Store that isn't really up to... It took Steam a long time to get to these places, but like, yeah.
I mean, they've got things like cloud saves, controller support, forums.
Yeah.
Like, what is their return policy like? Especially for Australians, we've got a pretty strict return policy on on goods here. You know, I don't know how a lot of that stuff works, but I don't see, like, it seems pretty basic when I look at their store.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't think it matters ultimately, but I understand why people are generally upset. Just don't.
Sure.
I don't care personally. Cool.
Last one is yours.
Subnautica Below Zero is out now.
I don't know what this is.
You don't know what Subnautica Below Zero is? Subnautica Below Zero is a standalone expansion for Subnautica.
What are you doing on the podcast?
Hey, I know, right? I'm wasting our fucking time instead of playing. You kept talking about fucking Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm sitting here like, supposed to be under the sea, motherfucker.
You could be under the sea, Joe.
I could be.
With Ariel.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know if she's in it.
Oh. Just want to, you know...
She's a Disney character.
Get my Shape of Water on. Yeah, so, it's in an Arctic biome, so I believe temperature is a factor. There's new creatures and stuff like that, new things to explore. It's hit early access. It's not out.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in two minds as to whether or not I jump in. I bought it fucking immediately, but I don't know if I play it yet or if I wait until it actually fully releases. Yeah, because I played Subnautica. I guess, you know, we ran into this. Subnautica could have been Game of the Year last year, 2018, when it officially released. But because of when we played it and when we were both obsessed about it, it was in the running in 2017 instead. And I'm wondering, should I...
It was Dead Cells.
It was Subnautica as well, Dorcas and The Forest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're too fucking quick. We're too fucking early on this shit. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I should jump in. I really want to, though, because fuck. Love me some Subnautica. Wonder if they've fixed the VR stuff or if I need a mod, because you need a mod to make Subnautica's, like Subnautica Originals VR any like worth playing. So yeah, I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll look into it. If I can play it in VR, I'll play it immediately. If I can't, I'll take that as a sign to hold off until at least there's a mod.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna email them.
Good plan.
Yeah.
All
right. That was it.
That's it.
That's the news. Do we have any? I think we had a question on Discord.
We do have a question.
I don't have Discord open.
We have a question from Baz. Baz writes, you guys were talking about fighting games the last podcast, and which one is popular at any point in time. You mentioned Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter specifically. When speaking to Joab on Discord, Smash Bros came up, and although I've barely played it, I explained it is the biggest fighting game and has been for a long while, to the best of my knowledge. What? He started calling me crazy along with Dr. E3 Money. Anyways, shortly after your discussion about fighting games on the last podcast, you announced the highest selling games of 2018, and I didn't hear Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or even any other fighting game mentioned in the top 20. MPD Apparently takes digital as well, where possible. Check out the link below. Smash Bros. Is the best-selling game for 2018 by a fair margin. I'm not a Smash fanboy. I don't get all the hype. Just wanted to prove I wasn't crazy when I stated over Discord that Smash Bros. Is the most popular fighting game. Well, if you look at 2018, the most popular game, even beating out RDR2. How was Japan? Hope you enjoyed Mario Kart in Tokyo. I got about 70 kilometers going down the bridge. I did enjoy Mario Karting, and I got.
Did he not listen at the start of the podcast?
Right? Come on, Baz. Sort it out.
Literally an hour.
Fucking wake up, mate. Yeah, for December. It's the most popular for December, first of all. Smash Bros. Beat Red Dead Redemption 2 in December of 2018. Let's just fucking wind it back a bit there. Okay. Lot to take in on this one. I will start off by saying there is no way that I claimed that Smash Bros was not unbelievably popular, because I am 1000% certain that I've talked before about going to BAM numerous years in a row, and about how half of Battle Arena Melbourne is Smash Bros and nothing but Smash Bros. Like literally half of it is Smash Bros. But I've also talked about how inside the fighting game community, Smashers don't consider themselves to be fighting game fans, and fighting game fans don't consider Smashers to be fighting game fans either. So I am going to assume that I was A, either trolling, or B, being a dick about whether or not Smash is a fighting game in the same sense, or if it is a Smash game. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming Dr. E3 Money was definitely trolling, because he doesn't give a fuck about fighting games at all. But he does like to rile you up, as to whether or not Smash is unbelievably popular, it's obviously popular. But whether or not you're crazy on Discord, you are crazy on Discord, Baz. I don't know why, like, you're bringing up a lot of stuff, and I'm just smashing it all down. Mostly because prove that I said any of this. Classic. Good. It was like, I guess you got in a question at the end with the how was Japan, but I already answered it. Not much of a question there. Baz Madan, he did add in the link to the MPD, so you can check it out. He is correct that it was more popular than Red Dead Redemption in December of 2018. And then he said my name to tag me, but I dismissed it immediately so that I wouldn't read it until this very podcast. Because that's how we do questions. Up in his bitch. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Baz. I was going to say thanks for the question, but not much of a question. And yeah, I honestly don't remember this conversation at all. And it doesn't seem like me at all. Like, it absolutely doesn't seem like something I would say, because, yeah, I know Smash is stupid popular. It drives me bananas how popular it is, because I don't like it at all. And yeah, I've been to fighting game tournaments where they've been like, I've been told to go talk to the Smashers or they'll get upset, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. There's so many of them, and it smells down there. It actually does. No offense to Smashers, but it's like a Magic the Gathering thing. It's like most. The problem is, right, most of the people have good personal hygiene, but the ones who have bad personal hygiene have such bad personal hygiene that it's overwhelming, that you can't help but notice it. And if you're sitting there for a little while, like playing Smash, I guess you just sort of like get used to it, right? Like how when you go to Luke's place and it smells like cat shit, but he doesn't know because all he smells all day is cat shit. Yeah, like
that.
Yeah, exactly like that. Except for BO at Smash tournaments. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
Cool. That's a show.
Good stuff. That is the show. Fucking
you can
3
find
hours.
us on.
Get fucked.
Was it?
It's all good.
You did talk about Japan for a long time.
My bad. It wasn't
you can
you
find
talking
us.
about Kingdom Hearts 3 for fucking an hour. No, it was all me.
iTunes, Android, Windows Store, everywhere. On everything you can find us on, we're probably there.
All the
Spotify,
things.
boom. The Gap, the GA podcast, you can search for us, we'll be on there. You can rate and review us, help other people find the show. Please, if you haven't done that yet, do that. Takes
Do it.
like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
3 hours we've done today, just today. Take your 15 seconds to tick a star
Right.
and say
Job
Job's
lied about
Tokyo
Smash.
story is
I'm not knowing
the
about
best.
Smash.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like
appreciate everyone that does that.
Persky.
You can also email us questions to jpodcast@gmail.com, or if you want to jump on our Discord page like Baz, you can go to thejpodcast.com/discord. That'll take you to a link to all the things we do on Discord. We've got voice channels on there. There's people playing Battlefield at the moment. We had a big group playing Anthem on the weekend. There was an email for the Division going out, right? I thought I saw that.
What?
A beta.
Is that?
Yep.
Okay. Must have missed
Hopefully that's a thing that I saw. That was for public knowledge. I'll check it quickly.
Private beta features first taste of endgame contents.
Right.
Running from February 7 to February 11.
Okay. Yeah, cool. We can talk about that. So yeah, if you want to play some of that, maybe jump in. Do it.
Do it.
Otherwise, Sea of Thieves, big Sea of Thieves update dropping next week as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to jump into that.
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching all their videos.
Oh, really? You're getting
Yeah,
all the info ahead of time.
I watched the developer updates. That's how fucking deep I've gone into
Jesus,
Sea of
look out.
Thieves. Yeah. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/GAPodcast, twitter.com/GAPodcast. You can go to YouTube as well, which is GAPodcast.com/YouTube, the GAPodcast.com/Spotify. That's the audio link. YouTube is obviously a video link. Job's going to put some Mario
Kart.
on there.
Yep.
I've got... What have I got? Nothing. Maybe I'll put some B-roll footage of Rage up as well.
Cool.
We'll see how we go with that.
Don't put so much that we get copyright struck.
No, I'll edit it.
Good plan.
Yeah. And
I would chuck some Anthem in, but it's risky business. I'm not sure.
I can put a loading screen on.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you can also go to the GAPodcast.com. It's got all the links to things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show.
I forgot to mention this.
Yes.
But with everyone not being able to log into Anthem, I logged in before I left for Japan. I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm just gonna log in and make sure I get my fucking VIP skin.
Yeah.
No problems. There was literally no problem. I logged in without any hassles at all. I thought it was pretty funny seeing everyone like raging about not being able to get in. Because if I hadn't been able to get in, I wouldn't have spent any more time on it because I had to go catch a plane.
Yeah.
I just logged in to register that I was in the VIP banner.
Well, I think at that stage it's early morning in NA, and it's maybe late-ish in the afternoon in Europe.
5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It was an hour and a half after the fucking beta had started.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the peak time for it to get hammered?
Probably a little bit later.
Whatever.
Probably
Fucking
about
whatever.
It got hammered so hard that fucking Battlefield died.
Yeah, it took all of Origin down, right? That's fucking
It took everything
amazing.
down. They accidentally built like a DDoS into it.
It's their own DDoS, so they could
Yeah.
DDoS themselves. It's so good. It's amazing.
They fixed it, but they realized they fucked up. Anyway,
Gold.
you can support the show on Patreon if you want to go to patreon.com/GAPodcast.
Do it.
You can help support the show.
You're
Helps
the
us
best. You don't have to.
pay for bills, things like that.
But if you do it, you're the best.
Yes, muchly appreciate everyone that does that. And I think that is it. Have you anything you want to pimp out for this week on your social media or your websites that you post on or anything?
2 or 3 a.m. Saturday, I'll have to check exactly, but check out my Anthem preview. There should be gameplay footage. I don't know if I might just put it on my own YouTube. Might be the easiest way. Just trying to put stuff into Red Bull. It's a pain in the dick. Yeah, check that out. You can see me playing through some endgame contents that I can't talk about, but I really want to because all of my favorite stories are from endgame content.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do that next week definitely.
Yep.
Yeah,
By the time we podcast next week, these guys should be the Super Bowl champions. Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
The Rams, the LA Rams, and the LA Lakers. I'm all LA, baby.
And the Kings?
Yeah. I met Wayne Gretzky once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He was a king.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, more LA.
LA all day. For me, you can go to survivor.com. Like as I said last week and this week, busy weeks. You can go check out my trials preview. I've got a trials interview. It hasn't gone up yet, but I think Steve's waiting for a slow period to put it up. Like I said, Brad Hill, Professor Fat Shady, he made the tutorials in trials. I spoke to him.
Yep.
It's like a 1,500 interview.
Nice.
Word interview. You can read my Rage 2 preview, which went up last night. You can read my Metro Exodus preview. Next week, I've got... I played the Division 2. That is all I can say about that. So you can go to Survivor next week for that. You can listen to our podcast next week for that one.
Cool.
As well. And I think that's about it.
Cool.
Yeah. That's all we got going.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's been busy. So next week, Division 2, Anthem, more Kingdom Hearts. Joab's going to buy Kingdom Hearts and play it like he'll be hooked.
Probably not going to happen, eh?
Yeah, we'll see how we go. That's it. We're done. Done for another week. It's hot. I'm going to play some Battlefield.
Nice.
All right, see ya.
Bye.